Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. Currently, where I am in the UK, it is not pleasant. Very dark, dull, rainy, not nice. Really not nice at the moment. Ben Jacobs is coming. He is coming. He's running late at the moment. He's a bit here, there, and everywhere. As you can imagine, when it comes to transfers and Januaries and summers, this is pretty much their busiest time. So, yeah, he just messaged me telling me that he's running a little late, but he will be joining us very shortly. However, what I thought we would do is discuss the topics. You know, the topics that we're going to be talking with Ben today. These are the sort of ideas and plans that we'll be going through as well. Once Ben's finished, we'll probably then continue for a little bit longer, open up the lines and get you guys involved to have your say. After obviously we've heard some of the stuff in regards to what Ben has to say. Let's cue the intro before I keep talking now. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. Ben will be joining us very soon. He is running slightly under, he's a bit busy at the moment, especially with obviously all the transfer sagas and details going on. So he did message me saying he's just running a little bit late and he'll be with us shortly. However, I thought I'd just start the show and obviously prepare you guys for what we're going to be discussing. And obviously, Joao Felix, as broken via David Ornstein yesterday, has confirmed that he'll be coming to Chelsea. And we're looking at a 5.3 million wage, is what we've been told. We're looking at a 6-month loan with no option to buy as well. And we're going to find out more from Ben. Obviously, we've seen images this morning of him travelling from, by the looks of it, from where he is in Atletico, Spain to the airport. And will be making his way over to Chelsea for what we've been told is the medical as well. So all of the intricate contract lengths and minor discussions, it seems like they've been signed off and agreed, which basically means now that we're just waiting for the medical. However, we're going to talk to Ben. We're going to have a lengthy discussion about it. I want your thoughts and opinions on Joao Felix as well. Is it a good signing for you guys? Now, we spoke about it yesterday on the show, and I said to you guys, not too sure on Joao Felix. And, 5.3 million to agree to pay the full wage, which we have done, is a lot of money. This is a lot of money for a guy that's only here for 6 months. Now, what we need to find out from Ben, and obviously Ben will be joining us very soon, is do Chelsea have the option to buy him after? Obviously, we know that there's nothing in the agreement on the loan, but if the player settles in at Chelsea, let's say Joao Felix does do well at Chelsea, will we be able, will we be able to sign him on? And obviously, you'd feel that it could be the case. However, then you're hearing other news that he's looking to sign an extension with Atletico Madrid as well. Again, that makes a lot of sense, in terms of value, in terms of if they do sell him, being able to hold that 80-odd million pounds that they're looking to sell him for, plus in the transfer window as well. So these are all things that we are going to find out, and Ben Jacobs will be also going in with that as well. We're also going to be talking about the right back area. We're going to be talking about the right backs. Obviously, we've been linked to Pedro Porro as well, but obviously we know Spurs are interested in him. But also the news in and around the fact that maybe Chelsea is struggling to fill that gap, because that void, due to just the fact that we already have Reece James there, and many players are not really looking to come over and play for Chelsea due to having him in there, because they feel maybe that they're never going to get game time, that Reece James is always going to be the favoured one. And it's making it Chelsea's job a lot hard. There's been mentions of Matty Cash, obviously Pedro Porro. We've heard Dumfries, Hakimi's and whatever. So we're going to find out from Ben Jacobs more on the right back area. Will Chelsea sign or look to sign a right back? And then we're going to talk about the midfield. Enzo Fernandez is obviously one of the biggest talks, because this morning we've heard news from via Simon Phillips, actually, that Chelsea are going to go in for another bid for Enzo Fernandez. Now, how true that is or not, we'll find out more. We'll see what Ben Jacobs again has to say about the news in and around Enzo Fernandez. We've seen the news from the Benfica coach. He's made it very clear that it's their player, that it's pretty much done, move on, forget about it. However, other people were saying that Chelsea are still in talks with Benfica. We'll have to see what happens with what Ben Jacobs thinks on that. But also all the other options, because there's the Latvias, there's the Cancedos. There's a number of players that are, say, available, but are they available for the January window? That's the big question. We're going to find out if Chelsea are going to be looking into any of them, any other midfielder options, or will they look to buy a midfielder in the, the Chelsea January window? Or is this something that we'll look for some? So priorities, what do we feel Chelsea will do in this market? Hopefully Ben's got a lot to share with us. So waiting for him to come through on that. And then once we've done that, we're going to finish off talking about we'll probably start off talking about the forward line. The forward line being Marcus Thuram, who's supposedly still being linked to Chelsea, even along with Joao Felix. We're being told by the likes of Fabrizio Romano today that both can be signed, that they don't really affect each other in terms of a positional sense, and that Chelsea are looking to bolster that forward line as well. So Marcus Thuram is another player that we'll quickly be discussing as well, along with the PSV Eindhoven forward striker, whatever you want to call him, Noni Madueke. Again, apparently Chelsea are doing works behind the scenes for the young lad over there as well to join as well. So you look at that, Joao Felix, Marcus Thuram, Noni Madueke as well from PSV. Now, I don't know much about the guy. I've seen clips of him. Dribbling ability, very good. Obviously, can finish as well. However, someone sent me across a breakdown of his injury record. And I tell you what, his injury record did not look pleasant. At the age that he is at 20, 21 years old, I was a little bit worried about the injuries. The injury record that he had there as well. But in the meantime, there's over 250 of you guys here 6 minutes in. As I advised, Ben Jacobs is going to be joining us very shortly. I am still waiting for him to come through. He has got the link. He did say that once he's left what he's doing, he'll be straight in with us. So at some point he will be joining us. But in the meantime, I've given you a bit of an idea of the topics that we're going to be going through and asking him. Make sure you get your questions in the chat as well. We will continue after the show. And also, do you know what? Sean Good mentioned Zakarian is another one that we'll be mentioning. Obviously, we had comments from him today joking around about him and Joao Felix playing in the same team, etc., etc. Will Chelsea look to sign another young player in Zakarian to Chelsea? We will find out from Ben Jacobs as well what he knows around that. But yeah, get your questions in the chat as I like to always say. I'll quickly go through the chat while you're here because there's over 270 of you here already. So let's quickly say hello to you guys while we're waiting for Ben Jacobs. Joey, big up to you. KSA is asking about Felix if he plays well. Can Chelsea pretty much buy him? We'll ask that question. All I want to hear from Ben is right back targets. Well, we're going to start with right back targets as soon as he arrives. So that is where we will start off specifically in regards to that. Leo, nice to see you. Undertaker CFC says we need midfielders. We're going to talk about that as well. Andreas, big up to you. Right back option, is that true or might possibly hijack Pedro Porro? Well, we're going to find out what Ben knows very, very, very soon. Tank CFC says so negative. Felix a good player. He will help us. Yeah, look, I hold my reservations on this deal, and it's not specifically Felix's fault. It's just that I look at Felix and I try and work out how he fits what we're doing. And when we talk about this profile of player he is, playing off the wing, can play off the front. And some people seem to feel that he can create. Yeah, he can create to a degree. You look at his assist levels, they're not massive. He's a player that can do it, but his main attribute is not a creator. And with someone like Joao Felix, I think he's going to need to be fed. I think he's going to find pockets of spaces. You're going to need to get the ball into him quickly. We know that he can carry the ball as well. And the biggest question on all of that is you put him in the team with the Sterlings and whoever else will play up front. But who's feeding these players? Because that's my problem. We know that the midfield's a bit of an issue. Deep line midfield, creativity is not there. The number 8s are unable to create to the level that we need as well. We don't create from obviously the wingers anymore because Reece James and Ben Chilwell are injured, and that was part of the areas that we were creating from, especially when Reece James was on the pitch as well. So creativity is a big issue at Chelsea. Now, some people think him coming in solves that. I hold my reservations. I don't think that is the type of player. He's the type of player to come in and to just become this so-called creative spark. But however, I could be wrong. I could be wrong with Joao Felix. I'm just not 100% sure on it. And I don't like what else I don't like about it is the business side of it to a degree, because we've signed him for 6 months. We have no option to buy him. He's making £5.3 million in wages of us in 6 months. That is a ridiculous wage set. And I don't know if, obviously, that's probably going to be before tax, but still, that's a lot of money, guys. That's a lot of money for a player to come over, find himself in form, potentially sign a contract, an extension contract with Atletico Madrid, and then basically potentially disappear and maybe other clubs be interested in him. Don't get me wrong, he may play really well where he loved the club and it may work, and we might do better, should we say. And then that's a different story, because then Chelsea may want to buy him, and he already falls in love with what's going on with Chelsea and what we're doing, and he ends up staying. That is an option, yes. However, I just feel throwing him in does not solve our issues at the moment. And that's why I'm hoping and praying that in this January window, we do make more signings in more prioritized areas. And that's the thing with Joao Felix. I'm just not as excited as others when it comes to it. And mainly probably more because I'm just worried about him failing. That worries me, So we have to see. Declared, big up to you. Good morning. How are you? Vinny, nice to see you. Undertaker CFC is here as well. He said that's why we need midfielders. Big up to CFC Stephen as well. Erin, nice to see you. Sir Timo Werner, nice to see you as well. Hope you are well. What else have we got here? Benjamin, nice to see you. Jim Romano. Big Ron, you're funny, man. You are funny. As advised, guys, Ben Jacobs will be joining us shortly. I know it's 11 minutes in, still waiting for him. We were scheduled for 11:15. He did tell me that he was still hung up where he is at the moment, obviously working as well as he works for CBBS Sports as well. So, it is what it is. It's a busy period for him. We'll wait, not a problem. In the meantime, I will talk to you guys in the chat, and we'll see what you guys have got to say before he comes on. This guy signed a new contract at Atletico Madrid. I feel like he's a Chelsea for vacation. I feel that, Sosa. I feel that as well. What's his attitude going to be like when he comes to Chelsea? Well, he is. And some people say, well, Chelsea are panicking. Equally, you could look at it and go, are Chelsea panicking? Is this a signing because of the Sterlings, the Pulisics getting injured, the lack of form of Mount and Havertz, and, these players, Ziyech just not working at Chelsea? Like, are these parts of the reasons why we've just gone for this? Maybe we feel that we could still get top four, and this is why we're buying bringing in players like Joao Felix to strengthen the core, strengthen the squad. But I don't know, guys. I just don't think it is enough. Just reading something. What I know is that what and how I can't say. What and how it will be, I can't say. I can't say that I'll have a medical and then a plane flight in 2 hours. All right, okay. So, yeah, I just see a comment on Zakaria basically saying that he's still at Dinamo. He doesn't know whether he'll be on a flight in the next couple of hours or not. It just depends on Chelsea. We'll have to see, but we'll still ask the question on that. Someone told me to check out Chelsea Dodgers, but I think it's just for the video of Joao Felix. Big up to CFC Pezlord. How you doing, bro? He said, did Felix and Poro have beef over a chick? Well, apparently that's what people were talking about on Twitter at the moment, aren't they? Big up to DJ Sub Jane House. Says, big up Jim for me, a great signing. This could be the guy that could unlock Kai. There were rumours yesterday from the Portuguese outlet from saying he's an option has the option to exit until 2027. Okay, well, we'll find out what Ben Jacobs knows very soon. In terms of unlocking Kai Havertz, I know there's a lot of people worried about Kai Havertz and Joao Felix actually playing together. I always bang on about chemistry. I always say that one of the issues with the forward line is they just look like that they've never played with each other before, even though they train. They don't really have that sort of chemistry. So if Joao Felix comes in and all of a sudden Kai Havertz has a good relationship with him and Mason Mounts, his game improves just purely because of this one player, then albeit it's a benefit for us. I just don't know. That's what I'm saying. I think the Premier League is a completely different beast. We know this. We know it's more physical. We know it's more quicker. We know that you don't have time on the ball. It's going to be a challenge for him to come in 6 months and adapt to the Premier League as quick as people want him to, because it's going to have to be very quick. He's only here for 6 months. He hasn't got time just to have 2-3 months to settle in. at Chelsea. He just has to hit the ground running. And it's a lot. But at the same time, we're paying him a lot. And we're going to be paying him £5.3 million wage, from what I've read. Emro's confident in him. Ruben Neves, I've not heard much about him in the midfield. Big up to Matthew. Yeah, guys, make sure we're hitting the likes. Over 350 of you here combined. Let's get these likes up. Ben Jacobs will be joining us very shortly at some point as well. Over 100 people on GNA TV. Nice to have you here. 250 people on Chelsea Fan TV as well. In the meantime, before he gets here, let's see if we can get this over 100 likes as quickly as possible. He should be here soon, guys. He should be here soon. I've sent him the link as well. Declared. Why would you ask that question, bro? Why do you want me to ask him that question? There's a potential that he do manage. It's just, I think he'd probably throw it back and just say that the owners are backing the manager. The same stories of what we've heard from most of the journalists. I don't think Chelsea are looking at other managers yet. You know, Marcus Thomas is a very good option. Well, we're going to talk about him as well. What place are we finishing? I don't know. It all depends on. Say it all depends on who we sign, but you know, we've got to bear in mind we've got a lot of injuries. However, Ben Chilwell, Reece James are supposedly going to be back in the next couple of weeks. Fofana will be back in the next couple of weeks. Kante should be available from what we've been told around late Feb, beginning of March. So our team should look better, touch wood, at the end, going into the end of the window, on top of hopefully having a good January window and bringing in more players on top of what we have, and everyone becoming fit again. Sterling obviously has to have a second X-ray from what we understand, because the first one was unrecognisable, is what we've read. His hamstring has, from what I think we believe, has a lot of swelling. They've not been able to determine whether he may need to have an op or not on his hamstring, etc. So we're waiting on Sterling news. We don't know how long he's going to be out. We know Christian Pulisic's out for a couple of weeks as well. Surf says that his injury record's not great. I mean, let's have a look at Joao Felix injury record. Come on, then. Transfer market, Joao Felix injury record. Let's have a quick look. So, Joao Felix's injury record looks something like this, guys. So, let's have a quick look. This is his injury record since 17-18. So, since the last 5 years or so. When you look at the number of games missed, he hasn't missed a massive amount of games. Yeah, people say that there's a lot of build-up of injuries, but they seem to be short-term injuries. The longest injury that he's had in days is around 74, and that was the most recent muscular injury that put him out. So he was out from April, but then was back in July, and at that point, season's finished anyway. He had COVID. When you look at the injury types that he's had, mainly mixtures between muscle injuries and ankle. The ankle injuries put him out for around a week to 11 days, 1 to 2 games missed here and there. Listen, it's going to be different. He's going to have a lot of game time at Chelsea, I think. There's going to be a lot required from him and his body. You know, short-term injuries, fine. But, I mean, in terms of days and lengths, he's missing 25, 30 days sprained ankle. So the ankle seems to be more of an issue for him. Injury to the ankle, sprained ankle injury, put him out 14 days, 7 days for another ankle injury. And then a couple of weeks later of the April, he had another ankle injury and put him out for 11 days. Then he had an ankle fracture, which put him out for 71 days, but he only missed 3 games because of the timing of the injury. So July the 2nd, again, pre-season, whatever you want to call it, break. So he came back pretty much at the beginning of the season. And then, yeah, other than that, he had a bit of COVID, was out for 6 days, and then a muscle injury, whatever that muscle injury is. Could be hamstring, could be calf, who knows? But the answer to that is yes, he does pick up injuries. Are they lengthy injuries? Not really. All right, you could probably say the timing of the injuries, 74 days, 25 days, them being at the end of seasons. If that's a mid-season injury, you lose him for at least, two months minimum. So yes and no is the answer to Joao Felix and his injuries. But in terms of the stats of the player, and we're doing all season stats for him. So actually, no, let's do current season. Make sure Ben's not here as well. He's not here still. We do current season for Joao Felix. So at the moment, he's played. This is what he's done. So he's played 20 games across 22-23 season already. He has 5 goals, and he has 3 assists, and obviously 5 yellow cards. Now, it's not amazing, really, when you look at it. Again, it's not bad. And people would argue, well, it's, look at the manager he's playing for, Simeone. They don't get out of their own half. They're not very attackive. They're not very true to a degree. Yeah, you can go as far back as the 21-22. And if we let's have a look at 21-22, where he played a full season at Atletico Madrid. So 35 games, 10 goals, 6 assists. Now, 8 of them goals came in La Liga with 4 assists. Now, people were talking about him being the guy that unlocks the creativity. Then if we're talking about him having this creativity from assist levels in the league, and he played 24 games, these are not direct assists that leads from goals. Is his creativity the man that is before the assister? So someone that will create space, drive, open up the pitch, link a couple of players, link a couple of passes, play the ball into the guy that assists, and bang. Like, is he that type of creator? Because when people tell me he's a creator, where? 5 assists. Where is where is this so-called creator that people are talking about? Yeah, this is the thing. This is what I keep asking people: who is going to feed him? Who's going to actually set him up? Who's going to actually set him up? That's the real question. I don't know where people keep saying that he's a creator. Stats, the stats don't back that. And let's try and find him at his best season, because, again, he played 40 games in total in 2020-21. 31 La Liga appearances, 7 goals and 6 assists. In the Champions League, he scored 3 in 8 games. So I don't get I don't get this whole he's a creator. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't understand it. And even when I've watched him in the World Cup and whatever else, I've never thought he's a creator. I just thought he's a guy that can pick the ball up, link play, bring it forward, and ultimately, if you find him inside the box or outside the box, he'll take a shot. Trying to find him in his best season. Like, what was his best season? So this is 1920. He's still in La Liga, 36 appearances, 9 goals. 9 goals in total, 6 and 1 assist. So, I don't know is the answer to this. I'm still trying to find him at his best season, because I know he had one of them mad seasons in Portugal, didn't he? Let's have a quick look. So if it ain't that, is it this one? 18-19. Let's have a quick look. Joao Felix. Here we go. So Joao Felix's best ever season to record was 18-19, and this is when he was deemed as the generational talent that that was going to go on and kick on and become like Mbappe level. When I remember them talking about him like this, and don't get me wrong, he was very good in this period. 43 games, 26 played games, 15 goals, 9 assists. He had 6 games in Europa League, 3 goals, 1 assist. But again, right, my point being, he's made 11 assists across all competitions, fine. 9 assists is not bad back then. But since this, from when he has hit double digits, he's hit double digits, he's kind of just dropped off. Let's be serious. 9 goals, 3 assists. That was 1920. So that was his first season at Atletico Madrid. And then he went to 2020, 2021. He got double digits in goals, but he played 40 games in total. Played over 31 games, got 10 goals. All right, he just made the double digits, and he had 6 assists. And then you look at it again. He played in a total 35 games, 10 goals again. So he's reaching double digits just about in 35 games, 6 assists. Now, this ain't someone of the creative level that Chelsea fans thinks he is. And I'm not talking about all of you guys, because it's not all of you guys. You know, this season, that's better. I mean, but still, he's played 20 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. You know, like, where is this so-called creator that everyone's talking about? Now, I'm going to be open to it. He's coming to Chelsea. I do think that his wage is extortionate. 5.3 million for him to come to Chelsea for 6 months only, no option to buy. Yeah, maybe we can buy him then on after, you know, for whatever Atletico deem him to be, especially if he plays well at Chelsea, which means he'll be able to hold a higher value. I don't know, guys. I'm just not sure on it. Just not 100% sure on the deal. Yes, people. Big up to ads in the chat. Nearly 500 people here as well. Join the GNA TV Discord as well. There's the link to the GNA TV Discord where we talk football. I put the stream links in there before, obviously, so people know that we're going live and stuff as well. Chelsea Fan TV. There is, over 333 of you guys in the chat already. Big up to you. We are still on Ben Jacobs. He did say he's going to be joining us shortly. Yeah, he's still doing whatever he's doing. So I'm just waiting. Just waiting for him at the moment. If it's 12 o'clock, if it's 12:15, whatever it is, he will come in through. He did tell me that he's a bit behind at the moment. So it is what it is. To Ed, he says, let's play terrorist football though, Jim. Oh, he's there. I'm sitting there talking about him and he's sitting at the bottom. Ben Jacobs, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you? Sorry, I'm late. I heard you talking about I'll be there soon, and I was sitting backstage for about 5 minutes, but I am here now. Better late than never. How are you?
I didn't see you. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Sorry, I was just so infatuated in Joao Felix stats just at this moment in time. I was going through the numbers of assists and you know, goals scored over his period at Atletico Madrid, because, you know, from what we're being told from some Chelsea fans, is that he's the key to our to unlocking our creativity, is what I'm being told. But I don't see it in assists anyway. But good to have you. Happy New Year. How you been?
Yeah, good to be here.
Good. All right, lots to get into, so I'll fly through with you as quickly as we possibly can. Obviously, we will talk on Joao Felix at some point as well. Just quickly, I wanted to just talk to you on the right back scenario at Chelsea, because some Chelsea fans are finding it quite alert in that it's an area that we're still not addressing, still not looking at. We're not hearing news from it. We've heard a little bit about midfield. Now we're hearing a lot of news in and around the forward line, Marcus Thuram, obviously Joao Felix, etc. There's been mentions about Pedro Porro, and obviously Spurs are linked to him quite highly, but Chelsea looking at him. I saw something about Matty Cash potentially as well. Is there, from your perspective, have you heard of anything in regards to any right back links to Chelsea? And do you think it's somewhere that they're going to actually prioritise, or is this more now the forward line because of the injuries that we've had or suffered from?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that it's a January window and you can't strengthen in every position. It's mid-season, and to expect an overhaul with a right back, still potentially in the long run a centre-back, by the way, as well, which I know seems strange because Badiashiel's come in, Wesley Fofana was signed. But remember, when Thomas Tuchel was in charge, he wanted 2, if not 3 centre-backs because he believed that there'd be a long-term overhaul. And the reason why I mentioned that is because who's to say that Silva will play on forever? Obviously, in the imminent future, he's there and integral, and even Koulibaly could end up departing. So don't just look at centre-back as fixed, because Badiashiel's there, Wesley Fofana when fit. Injuries plus outgoings over, let's say, the next 3 windows still might mean that Chelsea look in that position. And then there's the midfield revamp. there's also a goal scorer, whether a traditional forward or a player like Joao Felix, who is very close. There's a verbal agreement in place. Not everything can take place in January. And I think the oddity about many football fans is that as soon as they get one position, they start moaning about the next position. As soon as that position is sorted, what was everybody saying? That desperately a midfielder is needed. Now it's desperately a right back, but it's also desperately a goal scorer. And of course, Chelsea would like to fix everything, but you can't always do that in one window. So we'll have to wait and see on the right back front. And it's also about market movement in the sense of, do they have to move for somebody now? Otherwise, another club will get them. Or is there a summer target that's only available in the summer? And it's that balance. So just because a position is needed, the right name might not be available now. But with the right back situation, Pedro Porro is one name that Chelsea have looked at. And as you rightly say, Tottenham see him as their priority at the moment, but Sporting are clear it's release clause or nothing. And that release clause is 45 million euros. And therefore, we have to wait and see whether Chelsea are prepared to pay that number or not. It's a lot of money, but he's extremely versatile. I'm not personally sure he's exactly what Chelsea need, or that Chelsea's the right fit for Porro, because he ultimately wants game time. And what Porro offers is quite a lot of dynamism going forwards, but there are still some defensive frailties. And I think from Chelsea's point of view, they actually might prefer a more conservative right back, especially if they're going to be there for depth, that can come in set games and game management situations and offer something different. And maybe that lends itself more towards experience than necessarily the type of profile that Porro adds. He's not so young that he's inexperienced, but he's very dynamic and attack-minded. And maybe even over time in situations, and we've obviously seen this with Ben Chilwell, he can actually just play in right midfield rather than as an inverted fullback or traditional fullback. But definitely someone on Chelsea's radar, but they would have to, again, overpay and trigger a release clause if they want him now in order to beat Tottenham to his signature. And we wait and see whether they're prepared to move. Then you have Josip Juranovic, which is another one to watch, a much more budget target. There's plenty of interest in him. Now Molina is another name that's on the list and had been on the list under the previous ownership. And then with a view to the summer, Denzel Dumfries is still there. And I think that's the key indicator in all of this, that if Chelsea, for example, want to come in for Dumfries in the summer, of course they're not going to move in January for a stopgap, even with their injuries, because they're working on a longer-term target. And in fans' eyes, they want everything fixed now because results are not going Graham Potter's way. But if Chelsea are confident in a summer option, then they would be counterproductive to their strategy to buy now out of urgency, because you can't solve every problem in January. It's a conservative window. It's more of a seller's market than a buyer's market. And they have to make all their finances add up. And I think, therefore, right back is clearly something that they want to add cover or strengthen in, but we have to wait and see whether it's possible in January.
I think also part of it, from what I understand, I think people like Matt Law have mentioned this as well, is that I think part of the issue is that you have Reece James there. And obviously we know that Reece James, in my opinion, I think he's one of the best, if the best in the world in that position in anyway. So a lot of these players are looking at that and thinking about game time, will they get started? And people like Dumfries and Hakimi's and whoever we ever get linked to, are going to be looking at that and thinking, how do we get in this team? Equally, you look at someone like Cucurella, who come to Chelsea from Brighton on the back of, obviously, we know Chilwell being injured, but sort of having the right, in my opinion, the right mindset in terms of having to fight for his position and wanting to fight for his position. So, like, I don't know. I think it's a hard position for Chelsea to fill, just purely because of Reece James and knowing that when he's fit, he's probably going to start 99% of games. But at the same time, we need the rotation, because we've seen that even him himself is starting to struggle with injuries and etc. And that's the issue. We don't want just anyone. We want someone with quality, the level, not to the same level as Reece James, but at least benefits the system. And then, we don't suffer, which is what we're doing at the moment in that position, So,
yeah. And before, you might want somebody different to Reece James. I mean, the whole advantage of signing a more experienced player, but perhaps a signing that seems less appealing to the fan base, is that if that player's got buy-in that they are, for want of a better phrase, an understudy to Reece James, but they're happy to come on in games in the last 20 minutes, they're happy to play in cup games, they're happy to fill Reece James's shoes if he's injured or rested, that type of character in the dressing room that maybe comes from a club that hasn't had Champions League football, maybe wants to be part of a bigger club, maybe wants to be better compensated and buys in to the club strategy would be perfect. Or you go down the other route and you have to buy young and you're effectively replacing Reece James, which is difficult because he's extended on a long-term deal and he's not an old player. But if you, for example, get a highly rated 18-year-old, then maybe by the time that player's 21, 22, if he believes in the pathways, he's able to break through. And who's to say where Reece James will be in 4 years' time? It might be the case that there's genuine competition. It might be the case that Reece James is deemed to be not the number one choice by then. But right now, there's nothing to suggest that Reece James, when fit, isn't going to be the first name on the team sheet. And as a consequence, whoever comes in has to accept that. And that also might be why, as I've said many, many times, the player that is picked is not an out-and-out right back. They have that versatility to play right midfield or right back, centre back, and have a role to play in different formations. And this, again, is important because if you look at Reece James as always playing in one position, maybe it's more beneficial to have a right back, centre back, or a right back, right midfielder, because then you get opportunities to play them alongside Reece James rather than instead of Reece James.
Yeah,
that would be far more sensible.
100%. We'll have to see what Chelsea do in the market. Like I said, I've got a feeling it may be one for the summer, just purely because of options. But we'll have to see what happens in this window. Midfield, we're heavily linked with Enzo Fernandez. Obviously, we know the story in terms of Chelsea lowballing them in many ways is what we've been told by the Benfica coach, and that the fact that if we want him release clause only, we've been told also by other people that Chelsea are not interested in paying that release clause. That's not something that they want to do. We heard yesterday that he's training with him again and it's pretty much closed, and there's nothing to it from the Benfica coach again. And then today, some of the Chelsea outlets are saying that we're still in talks and that there's the potential that another offer will be put in for him as well. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the Enzo Fernandez saga, and on top of that, if not him, do you see Chelsea looking at any other midfielders for the January window?
Well, the first thing to say with Enzo Fernandez is that talks have stalled rather than ended, and that is a key distinction. And there's no suggestion at this point that a breakthrough is imminent, but there's a lot of time left in the window. And of course, if the player continues to express his desire to join Chelsea, they may develop more leverage at the club-to-club end as the window progresses. So don't be surprised, as is normal for a January transfer window, for Chelsea to spin multiple plates and to keep Enzo Fernandez there, whilst also looking at other opportunities and even potentially exploring the terms over a summer move as well. The relationship between Chelsea and Benfica is not as bad as Roger Schmidt has been making out in his press conferences. And there's two sides to every story here. So Benfica cannot be seen publicly to sell Enzo Fernandez for below the release clause. And Chelsea can't be seen to fail for Enzo Fernandez at or above the release clause, because that sends a terrible message to the market that Chelsea bid an insane amount of money and still didn't get the target. And other clubs will use that against them. And Benfica will not want their fan base to believe that the player was sold at a lower price than the release clause because he only joined over the summer. So as I've said many times on this show and others, transfer fees are always disputed. But the situation with Fernandez was very clear that there was a verbal indication of a offer, and that offer was around or above the release clause. But then Chelsea's actual offer was well below it. So, of course, Benfica were not going to accept that. But is there any leeway for Chelsea to go above 85 million euros? And do they want to? And does that tempt Benfica? Because a low ball offer will be below the valuation of the release clause, but still 30-40 million euros above his actual market value. And Benfica could be tempted. So it might be a case of how high Chelsea are prepared to go and what the structure of the deal is, but they're not really putting together anything yet. They are exploring their other options. And as the window progresses, they'll have to determine if they're going to come back in a formal sense. But what I would say is that the bridge hasn't been burnt. They've just decided not to cross it at the moment. So then we're looking at other midfielders potentially, with Edson Alvarez still there on the radar and Moises Caicedo being another option as well. But Brighton want around 70 million. So that's not an easy deal to get done. But Caicedo's new agents don't start, as I understand it, until January the 18th. So watch this space. And then in addition to that, as I said yesterday, we wait and see whether the cost of and bringing in a player like Joao Felix affects anything. Not because he's like for like in terms of position to Enzo Fernandez, obviously, but Chelsea have signed Badiashile. That's 37 million. They've signed Joao Felix. And I've said many times, including yesterday, that the verbal agreement is pretty locked. So this one can be construed as a done deal. From Felix's point of view, he told Chelsea a couple of days ago that he was sold on the move. From Chelsea's point of view, they went back and forth late night around an option to buy, but they were not able to definitively establish that. And an option to buy means nothing either if it's set so sky high that it's known that Chelsea will not activate that. It's a waste of time. So in the end, what Chelsea have done is they've made an offer of about £9 million, which is roughly 11 million euros. And the deal was done very quickly from there, simply because it meets the terms that Atleti offered. So Joao Felix to Chelsea, as I understood it last night, can be confirmed as basically done. And he will join Chelsea. He'll have to do his medical and so on. I'm sure that in the next hours or so, we'll get more of a confirmation on that.
Yeah, we've had it. We've had it, yeah. It's already come in. Here we go from Fabrizio Romano's just literally posted about it ago.
So then they'll have to work out whether that 15 million odd investment, but in terms of the loan fee, £9 million plus Badiashile, plus Santos, plus David Datro Fofana, plus maybe a right back, allows them to rebid for Enzo Fernandez. Because let's say they get Enzo Fernandez now, their total spend in January will be 200 million. So that's worth thinking about as well. So I think that midfield is a key priority, but it wouldn't remotely surprise me if they look for a more conservative midfielder, financially speaking now, and start planning for the summer for these kind of marquee midfielder names. Because if they do it all now, then they have to move very quickly. And that is quite difficult because once again, January window is not really a buyer's market.
We'll have to see. I think for Chelsea fans, again, it's one of them positions where we feel that we've just neglected for so long now. You know, it's just an area that we've not looked at and took serious enough, and really just want to see, you know, players being brought in of quality that's needed. And there's a lot of reasons why we need it in there. We've seen it. And I think even the game of recent against City, where you look at how poor the midfield was between Jorginho and Kovacic, etc. I think we do need legs in there, but whether or not we get it done, we'll have to wait and see who we link to. I do want Enzo Fernandez. I'm not going to lie, he's one player that I've wanted for a very long time. So we'll have to see what happens at a later stage. But I want to move on to Joao Felix, because he is obviously the talk of the topic today, mainly. Via David Ornstein yesterday, he's the guy that reported it initially, didn't he? Basically confirming that there was a 6-month loan deal agreed with Chelsea with no option to buy. Obviously, then onwards, we got confirmation from Fabrizio Romano as well on that being the case. And then we've just this second got obviously the what many people have been waiting for, which is the Joao Felix to Chelsea. Here we go. Full verbal agreement reach. Loan move on around sort of 11 million euros fee with 100% salary covered by Chelsea. Before leaving, Joao Felix will extend his contract with Atleti until 2027. Joao will fly to London in the next hours to undergo medical tests and sign. What do you want to add to it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, as I said yesterday, Joao Felix had told Chelsea that he was interested in the move. They're the only club that have agreed a package with Atleti. And as I first reported, in fact, before Christmas, the whole package here was always likely to be 8 or 9 million, and it's 9 million by the current maths between euro and pounds, plus 100% of his wages, 5.3 million. So it's a lot of money. It's only short term. And the bit that I added to the narrative way back last year was around this Atleti position of no option on the loan deal, which is important because it makes the whole deal shorter term. It makes the whole deal very beneficial to Atleti because the player gets game time and they still have control over him. And as Fabrizio says, he extends his contract until 2027, which in all likelihood, whether at the end of this season, as some allege, or whether in the next year or two, he will likely outlast Diego Simeone, which is important because it tells you that Felix may not be in love with Atleti from a football philosophy perspective, but he likes the club, he likes the city, which means that was the manager to change, it could well be a completely different scenario. So to be perfectly honest with you, this is a phenomenal deal for Atleti. They get a huge loan fee that Manchester United and Arsenal were not prepared to pay, and Chelsea get a short-term fix. And if it works...
Is that a benefit? This is my problem with it. I don't feel very happy with the way that we've done this because having the whole no option to buy, which is what I wanted to ask you, will that still give Chelsea the opportunity, and Joao Felix, even though he's looking to extend his contract with Atletico Madrid, the opportunity to potentially purchase in the summer?
Well, I mean, a new contract, should it be signed, will have a release clause. And with that release clause, it will protect the value of the player. So what's going to be interesting is if there's no option to buy, then is it a Nkunku style release clause that's set at or above market value? Or is it a sky high release clause? And if it's a sky high release clause, then that's basically a message that says to Chelsea, you can't get the player under any circumstances. And therefore, all you're getting is a short-term fix. If a new contract has a more market value release clause, then there's a window of opportunity for Chelsea, but unfortunately other clubs as well. And what Chelsea will be hoping, no doubt, is that if it all works out, they can either extend the loan to another season or they can buy the player. But that will be a separate negotiation. So they're not in a strong position. Atleti have got great money. They've got full control over the player's future. And it has to work from Chelsea in the short term. Otherwise, they're throwing money down the drain, which is interesting because does that mean that he has to play? And where does that leave Kai Havertz or others that play in a Joao Felix style position? So this feels like both an exciting signing, but a risky signing because Chelsea might be throwing money away. They might be getting a short-term benefit, but then that doesn't help you in your longer-term strategy. But it also could be the goals and the spark and the freshness to help Chelsea turn their results around in the short term. So I think that there's a lot of pressure on Joao Felix to repay the money that Chelsea have invested here. And there's a lot of pressure almost on Graham Potter to use him and to get a return from him. Otherwise, it will seem like a very redundant exercise from Chelsea's perspective.
Kind of just see this as a bit of a panic buy, and the way that obviously you've explained it as well, and I assumed that when I read a lot of it yesterday and was going through some of the comments in and around him going to Chelsea, it was definitely a deal that more suited Atletico Madrid, in my opinion. Now there was talks about him liking the Chelsea project. I don't get how he likes the Chelsea project that only comes for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? That don't make no sense to me. If you like the project and you're here for 6 months, but there's an obligation for you potentially to carry on and it does work and you enjoy the Premier League and whatever, I get it. But I don't know. Some people, when I get it, some Chelsea fans are potentially feeling maybe the way I feel in terms of that buying Joao Felix is more of a panic buy. It's just because of all the injuries that we've had rather than actually it being a bit more logical, especially with the amount of wage that we're putting forward on this guy as well, which is ridiculous, isn't it, to be honest, when you work it out in terms of the period, because is it 5.3 million over the 6 months that we're paying him?
Well, yeah, I mean, effectively, it is something very close to that. The start date is obviously relevant here in the sense of if you sign him on January the 1st, you would have a full month from January all the way through until the end of the loan, and the end date will be significant as well. It wouldn't remotely surprise me if Chelsea end it as soon as their season ends, whether that's a Champions League final, an FA Cup final is not now possible, or the last league game. But this is important as to whether there's a termination clause. For example, what if he gets injured 2 games before the end of the season and they know he's going back and they send him back? But he's effectively on 250,000 a week. So if you times that by 6 months, that's what Chelsea are going to have to pay. And that makes him one of the highest earners at the football club, up there, I suppose, with the likes of N'Golo Kante. And that is simply because when you get this type of deal, you don't have the scope to alter the wages. He's on an existing Atleti contract, on an existing financial package. And if Chelsea want to do the loan on behalf of Atleti, they have to honour the current wages. And that's why the number's so high.
Yeah, well, it is a done deal. He's holding the Chelsea shirt. He will be here for the next 6 months. We'll just have to see how he performs. I'm still not sure on the pitch how he fits. Again, that's going to be down to Potter to work out how to get the best out of him. We already know the issues that we have with the forward line, the lack of chemistry, and obviously behind that with the midfield as well. And I'm not 100%. Well, I'm going to give him the opportunity because I give every Chelsea player the opportunity once they arrive, but just not 100% sure on how this, how this benefits Chelsea. But hopefully he comes and it works and he has some sort of link up with Kai Havertz and Mount and others, and we can kick on and get some points, because at the moment sitting 10th and not very pretty. we need to start somewhere, So we'll see what happens with Joao Felix to Chelsea. From what we understand, he's on his way to Chelsea now for his medical as well. So let's see what happens there. On other things, really quickly, Marcus Thuram's being linked to Chelsea as well. Now, Fabrizio Romano again came out today and said that he thinks Chelsea will purchase, could still get both. It doesn't really affect the fact that they both play off the left and etc. Chelsea need numbers in the forward line, especially with the news that we've heard in there around Sterling. We're not too sure how long he's going to be out as well. Marcus Thuram to Chelsea, he's on what? He's got 1 year of his contract left. I think they were saying around 10 to 15 million pounds. What have you heard on him? Do you think it's one that Chelsea could potentially get done as well?
Well, I think that the opportunity for Thuram for many clubs is in the summer when he becomes a free transfer because he won't sign a new deal. Chelsea are exploring the opportunity of moving earlier, but it'll all be about the player buy-in, because when a player knows they're not going to sign a new deal, they can pick and choose based on if they want to see the full season out, and he's in great form. I think he's the second highest scorer in the Bundesliga, but also lots of other offers on the table. So he's under no urgency to move within a January window, and that will be about Chelsea convincing him of his role and of his game time. And I think, therefore, it becomes all about what you can do on the player side. I'm actually told that the fee isn't quite as high as some have reported for Thuram. It will be more like 8.5 million than necessarily 10 or 12 million, providing that's paid in a lump sum. So Chelsea are really exploring the possibility of what it will cost, but it won't go any further until they get told from the player that he's willing to move mid-season. And that's the big question mark at the moment, because there's such a high level of interest in signing him on a free transfer that his mentality and position off the back of the World Cup was actually that it would be more something that he would think about in the summer and would see out the season within the Bundesliga, because he was of the full belief that the form was good, the consistency was good. It's not always great for a player to move 2 weeks before a window shuts. They get no pre-season. They have to relocate, different league, different squad, different manager. So Thuram's mentality was actually just to stay until the end of the season. And there was almost a verbal agreement between club and player that he wouldn't sign, but he'd see out the season. So Chelsea are going to have to try and alter that. Still too early to say whether they'll succeed, but it is under active exploration.
Yes. Okay. Interesting stuff. What about another one that's popped out of nowhere? PSV's Noni Madueke. Time Sport have announced that they're looking to work on maybe potentially doing a deal for him as well. How true is it? I mean, have you heard anything in and around PSV and Chelsea?
Nothing really to add on this one significantly, not one that I've looked into over the last kind of 24 hours to give too much of an update. Very true that Chelsea were looking at the England under-21 winger. And this was also, by the way, and we're seeing now a bit more structure behind this, because Graham Potter had allocated the player when he was still at Brighton. So that's kind of an interesting subplot in a lot of this. David Datro Fofana, Brighton wanted him, Chelsea signed him. Exactly the same in this case. Brighton wanted him, now Chelsea are exploring it. So we have to wait and see where this one develops. Again, not necessarily the kind of player that is going to come straight in and do too much. So this is a sort of concurrent strategy of youth plus the now. And Chelsea have actually done quite well in January to plan for their future. And we shouldn't underestimate that. But this is not something to necessarily get excited about the now. Milan were another team that had looked at the player. So we wait and see whether or not this one develops. Haven't made an inquiry, though, on this one in the last 24 hours. So as you find during a window, not everything I do is transfers and not everything I do is Chelsea. And in the same way I was late by half an hour and I have to go now as well, unfortunately. You're juggling a lot of things also as a journalist.
I know it's a very,
this one in the last 24 hours.
I know it's a very busy time, this period, as always, for you, especially summer windows and January windows. So I know you're a bit here, there, and everywhere. And on that basis, we can tie it off there. I'll probably continue the show. Any last words in regards to Chelsea that you'd like to say?
Just to add, they'll be busy. Felix is done. There's a medical this week. They will still explore another goal scorer. They will still explore a midfielder. Not everything comes off in January, but I don't think it's unthinkable that they'll still try for 2 more at senior level before the window shuts. So I think we're going to have to keep across an active Chelsea right up until the last hours of the window. They're not going to be like Liverpool and pack up shop unless an opportunity arises. They're active. They're busy. So expect a bit of drama, expect a few surprises, and we wait to see what happens over the course of the coming days.
We definitely need something, that's for sure, I'll tell you that. But Ben, we'll see you again probably very soon on this show as well. Thank you for coming on again and taking the time to do it.
All the best.
Take care. See you later on. Thank you. Bye. Well, there you go, guys. You've heard it all. Joao Felix to Chelsea is a done deal. How do you guys feel about that as well? Over 800 of you guys here tuned in as well combined. Let's try and get these likes up as well, please. I know we haven't got enough likes as we speak at the moment. Fabrizio Romano has also confirmed this. Over 600 people on Chelsea Fan TV at the moment, but 157 likes. Let's get this up. And on GNA TV, nearly 200 people, but only 74 likes, guys. If you haven't hit that like button, please do so now. Let's get there. Let's at least get this over 100 likes, please, on that one. We are going to open up the lines, give you guys the opportunity to come in and have your say on Joao Felix to Chelsea. Are you guys happy? Are you happy with the signing? I've already given you my thoughts and reservations and how I feel about the deal. I'm not entirely sold on it. I do feel that Atletico Madrid definitely benefited more than Chelsea on this. If you feel it's a panic buy, I don't really blame you to a degree. However, he's here now. We're going to have to give him the chance to show us if he's here. Seriously, he's getting a lot of a lot of money from Chelsea Football Club for around £5.3 million in 6 months, which concourses to around £250,000. He's going to be being paid for the next 6 months as well. It's a lot of money, and you know, I spoke about wage structure and how Chelsea are going to try and balance the books and whatever else, but bringing someone in like Joao Felix for 6 months and making him nearly one of your highest paid players on your books, for him to then disappear back to Atletico Madrid, obviously he's going to have an extension there. And like Ben mentioned in there will be a release clause. There will be a release clause. Is interesting and intriguing to say the least. So I want your thoughts and opinions. I want you guys to get involved. Link is in the chat. Let's go. I want to hear what you've got to say for the next, I don't know, what should we say, for the next hour or so. So come and get involved for the next hour. See what people have to say. And let's have a discussion about it. Eddie, how you doing? You're muted, Eddie, if you're trying to talk. Take yourself off mute, mate. Eddie is not
Sorry,
talking. No.
just sorting out the sound, bro. How you going, man?
You right? How you doing? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. So I'm assuming you're here to talk about Joao Felix, or anything else. But let me know. What do you want to
Yeah,
say?
no. I'm here to talk about the Joao Felix, and I think, look, it's one that's come out of desperation, and I kind of understand if some people see it as a panic deal.
Yeah.
But given it's one that was on the table like that, I wouldn't call it as much of a panic deal. I think it's something that's been discussed before, and it's a profile. It's kind of a profile of a player that Chelsea kind of need at this point. Having a creative player. So it's an interesting one, and I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a deal that just benefits Atletico Madrid. I think the release clause would been something that they spoke about, because I don't see how it would benefit Joao Felix to sign an extension when you're looking to leave anyway. So I think there's been some conversations that's gone on behind the scenes, and that might be something Chelsea will look to activate, say 2-3 months into the deal, and the deal's going well. They activate the release clause and get him for the summer. So I think there's a longer term vision to this, but it's just how does the deal work in the shorter term? Then we activate that long term vision with it.
I think the short term answer to that is, and I keep saying it, and we've heard Ben Jacobs say it as well, is that Chelsea have bought him because maybe of the injuries, and whatever. But in terms of the overall package and who benefits more from it at this moment in time, it's got to be Atletico Madrid. 5.3 million in wages to Joao Felix, and obviously the fact that they're also extending as well. I don't know. We'll go around to a couple more people as well. See what they've got to say. AB, what you saying, mate?
Hey man, how are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, in Joao Felix, the deal, I'm still a bit 50-50 on this one, to be honest. Not totally convinced either. But, desperate times, desperate measures, to be honest. Who's the other options we have out there? We're not spending 80 million on Mudryk out there, in my opinion, especially in January. We still need a right back, in my opinion. The focus has to be right back right now. And I would love to have Pedro Porro in the 11 straight away, and not Aspilicueta. So Joao Felix, yeah, it's a good deal to have 6 months, but I think Atleti is the real winner out here. I think the injuries which we have for our wingers, I think that is what has forced us to, go for it in the last 48 hours. So I think it's a good deal, but I'm still not convinced with the deal. I think, yeah, it's a great PR signing, though, I think, for the club. It will sell a lot of shirts, to be honest. So I think that's good from that point of view.
It's a good deal for Chelsea if he comes in and kicks on and
Yeah.
we get a bit of chemistry with the forward line. But there's a lot of ifs and buts, and we know that there's a lot that we need to sort with the midfield, and we know we're looking obviously at right backs as well if that's going to be done. And there's just a lot to be done, But he is a short term buy. At the end of the day, he's here. He's going to try and help the club move forward. Quarter of a million a week. It's a lot of money. He's going to be one of the highest paid players. I mean, what are we saying, Hassan? What are we saying? Joao Felix to Chelsea. How do you feel?
I don't know what to say, Jim, about this deal. I just genuinely think it's 11 million wasted. I mean, I know we got injuries, I know we got other things, but there's just a lot to do this window, and there's a lot of promises that Bowley made to do. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Jim. This screams the Todd Bowley signing. It just does. Like, it's one of them like high-profile type of players. It's basically a marketing player, like what the comments said. It'll be a good shirt sales. It'll get the fans going. It'll make them forget about the other issues that we have in midfield, right back, and in the other areas. And for me, man, I'm just glad that Bowley has stepped down. I think it was just too much work for him to do. And I'm glad that people like Vivel and other people have taken over him. And I just don't know what to say about this. It could be good for us, or it could be like another Higuain type of loan, where it's just gonna be a useless without. Because who's gonna create for him? He's literally a Havertz 2.0. Like, him and Havertz have a similar profile, and I don't know, man. It's just if buts and maybes, but with the other areas that needs help and the amount of injuries we got, he won't be scoring that many goals, and he won't be doing well as people think he would.
Yeah, no, I hear you, mate. I hear exactly what you are saying. Let's go to Adnan. What are you saying, Adnan? Adnan,
Hello?
how you doing?
Yeah, we are fine. We are fine. Oh, what's up? What's up?
Not bad, mate. What do you want to say?
All I wanted to say is everyone here just trying to pick out on Bowley. You understand?
What do you mean?
Because everyone is like, this is a Bowley signing. Yes, we know that Bowley can see players and go and sign them. But at the end of the day, no one signs a manager for 5 years and says that I'll sign for you the players. No one. They have to ask him. They have to tell him what do you want now. Now that there are injuries, you can obviously see this is a Graham Potter signing because on that left-hand side there is no one. Pulisic is not there, and Chukwuemeka is not working. So on the right-hand side, we understand there is Mount can try there, ZH can be there, but on the left we are done. So I think Joao Felix is coming on the on the left-hand side, not as a striker. Obviously, you can't buy 6 months and you put him on the striking line where he doesn't play, so it's impossible. And this is a Potter signing. Maybe Chelsea are trying to go for the long run. Maybe attract him for the 6 months. If he loves the project, then the release clause can be triggered. If there will be a release clause on his new contract, right?
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? Because this just in hindsight say that he has a very good 6 months at Chelsea. He's supposedly going to extend with him anyway. Atletico Madrid are definitely going to have a release clause in his thing anyway. He was valued at around 80 million. That release clause could be increased just purely based on his 6 months of playing well in the Premier League. And that's where Chelsea will end up having to pay not only his 5.3 million wage, but then to buy the player it could cost them like 90 to 100 million. Let's just say, for example. Yeah, what I'm trying to get at is that Atletico Madrid they have full control of this situation. This is not a Chelsea in control situation right now. This is completely Atletico Madrid from top to bottom in control. And I don't know. We'll have to see how it all goes, how it works out, etc., and the ins and outs of that bit a bit later on. But we've got Winter Surfer here as well. We're going to go to him in a second, but let's just quickly go to Don as well. Don, what are you saying?
Yes, bro. I still feel the way I did yesterday when we spoke about this. For me, again, it's not a priority. We should have. I'd rather get a centre mid and a right back first. Then I'd probably be a little bit more excited. But I'll be honest with you, I can see the logic behind it because of all the injuries that we've got. I do think he's going to play off the left, like the last guy just said, with Pulisic missing there. I don't think we're going to play him up top. I think we'll go with Felix on the left, maybe Havertz up top. Again, not really confident with that going forward, but you've got to do what you've got to do right now. And the only thing that I would say is I'm happy that to be honest, look, anything to lessen Arsenal's chances of winning the Prem, I'll take it. Because there was a possibility that he would have gone to Arsenal. And I think they looked at that and thought, you know what, if we leave Felix till the end of the window, he might have accepted, a move elsewhere. So I do see the logic behind it. And I'm kind of trying to be optimistic because I feel like these owners aren't going to make this signing and not sign anyone else. And we are still quite early in the January window as well. So I reckon we're definitely going to make at least 2 more signings in the positions that we've been screaming out for, in all honesty. So that's how I'm looking at it at the moment. I think he's a good player. I do rate him. But just for what we need at the moment, I just don't think he's the right first signing to make. Well, I'll be happy with it as long as we bring in, the other positions that we need to fill at the moment.
The problem we have is that obviously we don't know how long Sterling's out for because we've been told that the first scan they couldn't determine because I'm assuming there's a lot of swelling around the muscles. So they can't work out how serious it is, whether he needs not whatever with that hamstring. So we don't know how long Sterling's going to be out for. We know Pulisic's out for a couple of weeks. We know that Mount and Havertz are not in any real great form. Ziyech is just a waste of time. So I get the whole thing of just trying to strengthen or give Potter options in that forward line,
Yeah.
And in theory, we're going to have to give it. I'm going to give him an opportunity. I'm not going to sit here and completely gun the guy completely down. I'm going to obviously give him the chance. What worries me is with most forwards that come into this current crop of players squad that we have is who's feeding these players.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a more of a thing of apparently he can create. Well, I looked at his assists from 19, 18 all the way to where he is now. He's not really a creator. For me, he's someone that needs to be fed, someone that can pick the ball up, link play, and then find himself inside or outside the box to take on a shot, etc., etc. That's where he's the most effective for me. But again, does he aid Chelsea? Do we improve massively with Joao Felix in the team? Time will tell. Time will tell because he may build a bit of chemistry with someone up there. you know, and it might look a little bit better. That could happen. But for 5.3 million over 6 months and a $250,000 wage, he's got a lot of pressure. And on top of that, he's coming to the Premier League that he's never played in, that we always say we need to give people time in doing, but he hasn't got time in doing because he's got 6 months. Do you get what I mean? So there's a lot.
And the people are hyping him to be this this missing link that we are all of a sudden needed. Max is gonna score if he's lucky. It's probably about 8 goals, 9 goals at best.
He's done double digits, 10 goals.
That's what I'm saying. I think we have to be optimistic. I just don't see how everyone upstairs, as well as Bowley, are looking at Felix and thinking, right, he should be enough to at least see us out until the end of the season. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. I do have a little bit of trust in these lots getting at least 2 new guys in. I saw a few quotes from that Russian player. What's his name? Zakarian. And he's the equivalent of our Modric, to be fair. Like, he wants to move. I'm not sure how true this is. I think I saw something before about delays due to the fact about Russian players and transfers. I don't know how true that is, to be fair, but he's someone that I've never seen him play a game of football, to be fair, but I have seen clips of him. He does look pretty creative, and as much as, you know, he does want the move as well. So he's someone that I would potentially be looking at if we can't get Enzo done, if we can't get what's his name, Casado done.
You're right, and what you're saying is he is the first signing, but on top of that, I expect us to do more. But the question will be, what can we get done in the January window, and what positions can we fulfill? Because it looks like we're struggling with right back because of attracting players and players wanting to come in anyway. Midfield is still up in the air as well. We don't know what we're doing with the midfield, and it seems like we're very concentrated on the forward line at the moment. So, I mean, Winter Surfer, how are you doing, bro? How you been?
All good, guys. All good.
How are you feeling about Joao Felix to Chelsea, mate?
I'm fine with it. Someone said it was a panic buy. Yeah, it was a panic buy because of the injuries we just suffered. They said Pulisic is out for weeks.
Yeah.
They didn't give actual number on it. They just said weeks, which doesn't sound good. Because and then Sterling's having a second scan on his hamstring. We know how hamstrings can work. Look at Kante with his hamstring. It was supposed to be 7 weeks. And then he's been out since August. So you're damn right it's a panic buy. And if you remember, we've already spent our money, or we're going to spend our money on a forward in the summer anyway for Nkunku. So this is just at the end of the season. Whether he does well or not, I don't think we'd go in for him anyway because we've got Nkunku coming in. And also, I don't think anyone's going to spend a big amount on a striker in January when they've wrapped up the Nkunku deal for the summer anyway. I don't think they were looking to buy another forward, particularly until these injuries popped up. I know Thuram was linked and everything like that, but I don't know if they're going to press ahead with that. I know everyone is wanting a right back and midfielder, and I do as well. Yeah. Remember, look what Ben Jacobs just said. We're probably still going to be trying to sign people up until the end of the window.
Yeah.
So I understand everyone wants everyone in a certain order. Get me a midfielder now, right back now. I totally understand that. And the quicker, the better. But I would give these guys the benefit of the doubt until February 1st.
100%.
February 1st, if they haven't sorted out what we need, then yeah, go ahead and have a go at them. And now you can't use Todd Bowley as an excuse anymore since he stepped down. There's now an actual team of guys.
But apparently, Andrew, apparently, Bowley still got the final say until the end of this window.
Yeah,
most
owners do. Roman done the same.
Most owners, yeah, exactly. Most owners do. I don't see what the actual issue is. It's the fact that you don't like Bowley. I don't think Bowley was ever in these negotiations for these players. It's just given the go in the summer.
I was just gunning down whoever's the day-to-day operation, whoever's running these transfers. Now that I see well, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him.
Okay.
And if he doesn't sort out these issues within the next 2 windows.
It's Vivel and Winstanley. Is it Winstanley or Vivel, or is it Lauren?
It's the guy.
So who's taking the role position?
Two footballing brains. It's him, and he's going to be the face of it with another guy with him.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep a close eye on him as well.
I just think this is what I've wanted, like a structure like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's what we needed. it's like we've been linked to Caicedo for 75 million. We bought these guys in so we don't have to pay 75 million for Caicedo, and we're trying to find our own Caicedo.
However, what I would say is $250,000 a week for Joao Felix for 6 months is a bit stupid. Do we agree?
It's the price. It's the price you pay. I mean, remember we got Inter to pay all of Lukaku's wages. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? It's just if you want them, you're going to have to pay it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
You know, it's just and that's really they got us by the balls essentially because of our desperation in terms of that we needed a forward player now because of the injuries and because the others are just like Ziyech are just crap. Do you know what I mean? So we need that. They acted fast, which I like. They acted fast. They put what do you need? We need this, and they done it within 24 hours. So
the issue lies though that you throw in a player like Joao Felix into this current crop of squad that we got, which is a very unbalanced and injury prone, and loads of people are out and whatever. Yeah. And it's what are we expecting? Do you get what I mean? Like what? Because we got to think like this. We're spending quite a lot of money for him to come in for 6 months anyway. So we're expecting something. I'm assuming the owners who have signed him and whatever himself. So my thing is, he comes in, potentially could struggle like all the other forwards I've done because there is no chemistry link, because there is no feeding from the deep line, because there is, because we're just struggling anyway and we can see it. Then what?
That's why I like to say, okay, it's like, let's see on February 1st what other people we bought. Then we can probably suggest we can look in and see how Felix is going to work out.
I'm just more worried about the squad. I'll be honest with you. It's not specifically Joao Felix himself. It's not the player. It's more about the fact that we brought a player in to potentially expect something. But then it's like we've not sorted out all the other shit.
Yeah.
I think it was just initially. I'm just seeing it as another body. Essentially, in a place where we needed.
And then he plays shit, and then the Chelsea fan base gun him.
Oh yeah, the Chelsea fan.
And then we do this thing of, well, he's a shit player. He's a shit player. He's a shit player. But then we forget about the structure, the system, the setup, who he's playing with.
You have to bring players around him. You have to bring a lot of players around him. If he does not have the right players around him, he's not going to score any goal, not assist, nothing. You have to have the right players around him.
Yeah, but does no one else see it as like a win-win situation where he's not trapped there like a Ziyech? He's if it doesn't work out, he's gone. That's a bit of a silver lining, right? Imagine we brought him and he was stuck there and he sucks. I prefer this, overpaying for loans, and if somehow they pop off,
but you must have thought that when you are bringing him, you are a loan deal with all that wages. You must have.
Yeah, I know, but it's still better than buying the guy.
Around.
It's like much better than buying him, and then
it's a panic buy. At the end of the day, I think it's a panic buy.
Of course it is.
Not a buy. It's not a buy. It's not a buy. We loaned him.
Of course it is a panic. Of course it's a panic.
We're not going to sign him at the end. Unless he destroys it. If he destroys it, which we'll all be happy. If he got 20 goals all competitions, we'll all be happy. Then we pay astronomical amounts for someone that we know is good at Chelsea, rather than signing it. Imagine we got Enzo Fernandez and somehow, God forbid, he sucked. We'll be having so much egg on our face.
Who's creating for him?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into the specifics. I'm just saying, 20, if somehow he gets the magical 20 GA, I can't say even all competitions because we're only in one.
He's going to get 10 at best one.
Well, someone
10, probably 15.
Compared him to Timo Werner earlier in the chat. So is he going to have the highest goal assists and just create a lot and not score many goals?
No, we are in a situation. We are in a situation where everything it might not work. It might not happen.
We'll throw in shit on the wall, hoping it sticks.
Yeah, I mean, super chat here from Aya
we're in the situation where we are like, it might never work, it might never happen, this and that, because of our previous players and the previous manager.
Adnan, 1 second, bro. 1 second. I'm just reading this super chat. Aya is saying what no one is pointing out about Felix is this move. It seems like a ploy from management to quell the fan outrage from recent activities.
No,
I didn't even think of it like that.
He ain't cold water, he's not like, it's not like Enzo on a loan that will quell us. This is like, we know Felix flopped when he went to Atletico, so it's not like, it reminds me of Morata a little bit, man. I don't know if it's gonna work.
What has been the biggest response from this deal from Chelsea fans is, okay, but we still need A, B, and C. So it hasn't done that.
Facts.
And we haven't forgot about recent stuff that has happened. So that's not the case. We have gone, okay, that's fine, but we still need a midfielder, right back, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So that's not the case whatsoever.
True.
I think it all falls down to the profile of player, and I keep saying this. I don't think we could all assume what we think is the profile player, right? We can all think, well, if we had this type of player and that one in and that one, then that's how it's all going to work. And you can see certain things on the pitch, and we saw it against Man City recently as well, where the midfield doesn't look right. We can still see it. It's just too inconsistent. We struggle to create, and that's pretty much in every game. We just do not create. It's weird. Like we struggle to. It doesn't matter who we play as the front three. None of them are creators. Gallagher don't create to the level. Mason Mount does not create to the level, even though he has the highest.
People forgot that Kepa is not a striker. People think Kepa is a striker, just passing back to Kepa, passing back to Kepa, everything.
So my thing is this, and I keep saying it with this Chelsea squad, I actually think we need to completely empty and gutter it out. And I know it sounds really stupid when I say that, but I actually think we need to empty it, turn it upside down, empty it out,
upside down,
start again. And that sounds really bad, but that's how I look at it. And obviously buying these young players for the future is potentially the right thing, moving forward. However, there is a now still, and the now meaning that we need to improve what we have and give Potter the utilities and the right tools to be able to do what he wants to do and get the best out of this squad. So this is where the question marks comes on the owners. What are they going to do for the now for him? What are we going to give him in the January window? And how many areas can we cover? Because I don't think we're going to cover them all. I think we can potentially get 2 more signings, maybe. Yeah. But, some of these things like midfield may have to wait to the summer, and unfortunately.
You said 2 signings, yeah? But how many more loans are we going to get?
What still doesn't make sense, is the fact that Potter wants to send someone on loan. Fofana, he wants to send Fofana, the only striker on loan. I don't understand.
He's young, brother. I get it. I get that.
But he wants to assess him first. He hasn't said he wants to send him yet. The answer.
He doesn't want him to get injured at Chelsea. That's what he doesn't want. He doesn't want a bro job.
The idea of even sending him on loan.
Imagine Joao Felix is injured.
Mendy or what?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a comment from Fabrizio Romano on Zakarian who talks about Chelsea. And he says, we are already solving this with the club agents. What and how it will be. I myself cannot say. I don't know, and I have a plane in 2 hours. He says, I am at Dinamo getting ready for the season. So, basically, he's close to his card. Some people are saying he's the creative spark we need, but again, he's still very young, isn't he? But, maybe we have to look for that because you're not going to keep spending 70, 80, 90, 100 millions pluses on every position that you pay for. However, you can do that in positions that are quite needed. And when we look at the midfield, I think we can all agree that if we'd spent 120 million on Enzo Fernandez, that it could have been quite a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But when you think about how important that area is and how much we need it, maybe it isn't at that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And
bro, I agree, man. I think we should get Zakaria as well. We should actually keep him if he carries on just performing to a degree of the performance he's doing. Because as much as I love Kante, I feel like he wouldn't even mind someone helping him. But the defense, if we brought a fresh right back like Molina, James and him will have like a friction because Molina wants to be a first team player. James will be coming back and he'll be like, here's my beer, sit down and hold it. It'll be awkward, but I can see Kante coming back. He wouldn't have no beef with Zakaria. He'll be like, you play some, I'll play some. It's all good.
So we've got some more news on Joao Felix from Ben Jacobs, and he basically says that Chelsea have been unable to get an option to buy on Joao Felix loan. Chelsea seriously considered moving in December, but didn't because they saw no value. Meeting then took place internally over the last 48 hours. What's that, mate? I don't know what you're saying.
He's talking to someone else.
Yeah, he's been talking to someone else. Thoughts on Kepa. Like, we don't want to talk about Kepa.
My bad.
I want to have Slanina in goal. Swear down.
So I don't really know specifically too much where he's going with that. I mean, we didn't see no value in December. We didn't consider from what he's saying, the options. I don't know. Maybe is he saying that we had this discussions already with Felix?
There was no value in December because we didn't have the injuries. That's why. Now the injuries have impacted. The value of him is that he's there and able to get. Now I know why Atletico Madrid aren't doing it. They don't want to put a set price on this guy if he does well. They want a bidding war. They paid over 100 million euros for him. Yeah, and he had an okayish to good World Cup, but if he balls out here, and say for some miracle we have a run in the Champions League, which I don't think will happen, but if it does, right, then his value goes up and up.
It's
right?
possible. It's possible. It can happen.
They want. That's why they put the extra year on it. They want a bidding war for this guy.
Yeah, and also they can determine the release clause, right?
Exactly.
That's the issue, isn't it? That's
So
what I
pay the
think.
release clause or a bidding war.
That's why I keep telling people, and even the Felix lovers, that Atletico Madrid are the ones completely in control of this deal. We ain't.
Andy signed a new deal, so it's going to be up to 80, 90, 100 plus if he does well.
Yeah.
Nah, this is we just got screwed. I didn't even realize that. Like, even if he does well, we can't even buy him basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not. But the thing is, we've got Nkunku coming in the summer, so we're not screwed.
I know, but come on, imagine somehow he does that 20 goals. Like, there's no way any
So if he does that, then we try and negotiate before the season ends. Yeah,
I'll pay 100
try and do
million.
that. That would be the smart way to do.
Is he cup tied from Champions League?
Cup tied? I don't know if he's cup. Is he cup tied? I don't know. I don't know.
If he is, that makes it even worse.
I don't know.
It makes it even worse. You just signed a player that can't play Champions League.
I don't know
what the rules are history.
I don't know what the rules are about that.
No, we'll have to wait for that. I'm not sure how true that is.
I don't think they would allow him not to play Champions League.
If he's registered for Champions League
Cup,
squad, then he's not cup
I need to
tied.
find that out. Let me message.
He's not cup tied. He can play the Champions League. It's fine.
No, because he's played in the Champions League for Atletico, right?
I don't know. I think so. Probably, yeah.
He has. So I don't think he can.
No, but didn't Haaland play for a Champions League team and then he moved to Dortmund and played there as well?
He played for them, right?
Yeah,
he played for
he did.
Salzburg and then Dortmund, right?
Yeah, he did. He played for 2 Champions League teams and bugged for both.
Yeah.
I think the only question is if Chelsea play Atletico at some point, which I don't think is happening, right?
No.
Yeah, but then they can't put. There's no, because remember we had
the same
There's
issue
no
with Courtois,
club law because
Yeah,
we're not in the
Courtois
domestic
against us, so
competition.
It doesn't count, I think, unless it doesn't count for Europe. So
No, it doesn't count for Champions League. It's only if they're in the same country in the domestic or league competition.
All right,
There you go.
Listen, all right, that makes a lot of sense. Then that's fine. I wouldn't think we were that stupid, to be honest. But anyway.
no, but if he balls out, he balls out. Listen, it's our desperation in the fact that we weren't going to spend a huge amount on a striker in the summer. In January, because we're doing that in the summer. So it's our desperation. We were just going to pay it. Arsenal, Man United, we're never going to pay this much.
I hope he balls out, because if he balls out, that means we're actually doing well again, and we need to start doing well. So at the end of the day, I might be sounding like I hold my reservations and feel a bit negative towards the whole setup, but I'm just more partially not happy with how we've done the deal. But then the more I think about it, I kind of get it with the panic buy and stuff. But and then it's like, how does he fit? And then it's going to be down to Potter to get the best out of him. And it's just like, I don't know.
Facts, man.
Plus, he doesn't have to do much to ball out with these forwards anyway.
It might be the link that
score more than 5 in 6 months.
If he scores 8 goals, everyone will be asking to sign him.
No, I want double digits.
Even if
that's impossible to get, man.
Even if it could be the link that builds a bit of chemistry with our forward line. I don't know. It might sound stupid, but we might actually just look better with him in it with them. I don't know. Like, these are the things. Aya says, if it's a CM you need, why not Florian Wirtz?
Well, he's a cam. He's not a CM.
Not another young German centre man.
He plays more of a forward role.
He's a forward. So he's more.
I'd rather have Forsberg from RB Leipzig if we're going to go for CM. Mature man, like, who knows what he's doing. But honestly, Felix, the only way I see him staying is if he wins us Champions League, because technically that's the only way we're getting into Europe. The only way we get Champions League next season is if we win the damn competition. We're not finishing top 4, boys.
But it's a long-term. Yes, when we come out of the Champions League, we're never really out of there more than a year, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Even if we fall out for a season, he's gonna look at it as a long-term project, and he's still young, and he's getting a good buck. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, he's young, isn't it?
He's young. So
let's all be honest, bro. He's either here for the project or he's here until Simeone is gone, man.
He's here for the money.
It's one or the other.
It could go both ways. I hear both sides. I do hear both sides 100%. But for me, you know, at the moment, obviously, it's a good paycheck. It's London. Do you know what I mean? It's a big club. He knows that we've got the history of winning things recently. So I don't think us falling out of the Champions League will mean Felix definitely won't sign for us. I think he'll look at it more long term.
I don't think he's here for the project, because 6 months. Which project are you here for 6
No,
months?
I didn't say. I didn't say.
He's like, just come and get me.
He came at the right time, though.
I was replying to what he said about us not signing him if we don't make the Champions League. I'm not talking about the project long term. I'm saying I don't see that being a problem because we rarely ever fall out the Champions League for more than a season. So long term, if he does sign on, I don't see that being a problem.
Yeah, but listen to this though. I could see easily Potter, like obviously Potter does terrible. We finished 12th or something, and somehow he gets sacked. Who's coming next? Simeone. So he'll be like, I'm out of here.
Oh, hell no.
Keep him away from my club, man.
Well, Simeone is such a Chelsea manager. He's such a Roman manager. I don't know about this Chelsea, but he's a typical old Roman Abramovich manager.
No, you want to know what it is? I can see him win trophies parking the bus, bro.
I swear, no, I'm saying, bro, I can see it.
I don't think this Vivell and his other lot would see Simeone as a manager for us.
I don't think the players would. The players would get.
I just think they will sign a manager like they do in Europe that's in line with the philosophy of what they want.
Yeah, exactly. A good
point. Simeone is the anti of whatever it is.
I think what they're trying to build at the moment is definitely going to stay longer than Potter. Even if Potter was to move on, whoever they bring in will be in line with how Potter plays in terms of his style of play. So, yeah, Simeone, that's not going to happen.
Matty said he'll be on in 5 minutes to land a real Kepa jizz.
You're ending this in 4 minutes, though, right? That's the thing.
You know what I mean? If it's not vitamins, it's Kepa jizz. That's what he's coming to land.
Now, we're on Slanina jizz now. Kepa's done, man. He's bust. He's not. He's out of here, man. Get out of here, man. What's Slanina, bro? Give a young brother a chance, man. We're desperate.
Wouldn't it be so Chelsea-like to finish 10th and win the Champions League?
And Tottenham finished 4th and we kicked them out or something like that.
Possible, that's possible. This is Chelsea. Everything is possible.
It's just anything can happen with Chelsea. You don't know, do you? Especially in cup competitions. We're a cup team now. We're not a league team. We've always been a cup team the last 3-4 years. You know.
Yeah.
We're not even that. We lose finals. We lost our last couple of finals.
Wait, can Felix play in the Champions League for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It'll be silly for us to sign him if he can't. I literally said that Haaland played for 2 Champions League teams when he moved to Dortmund. I think there is a deadline though. There has to be I think it's near mid to end January. I don't know exactly when the deadline is, but he'll definitely be in time before the registration.
Chelsea are still trying to sign a new midfielder this window. They are looking to add another 1 or 2 centre midfielders in the summer, depending on circumstances. Update on midfield targets with a new name, Simon Phillips. That's what he just said seconds ago. So basically, he's saying that there's Chelsea are targeting midfielders, and one will be a new name. That's from what he said. So you must know who that is. But keeping tabs on Matthias Nunes from Wolves. He's one of them.
He's a baller.
Who's Darwin Nunes? That's Ram, isn't it? That's got to be Ram.
Big up, Josh. R.I.P. Yeah, big up.
What's up,
guys? What are you saying?
How's everyone doing?
Yeah, all right, mate. I mean, how are you feeling about Joao Felix to the Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm excited about it, man. I don't know. Everyone sounds so gloom. It's like I thought I've been hearing for the last 6 months how shit this squad is, and now we get some fresh golden boy winner of Europe on our team now, and everyone's like, I don't know, man. Where's he gonna play? Who's gonna create for him? Oh my god! Just shut up and enjoy it, man. Fucking hey, we've been watching this.
Josh, you've seen this shit for the last 5 years, man. Midfielder, Havertz, midfielder, Werner, midfielder, someone else.
The feelings or the reactions of fans that are feeling quite sceptical about a signing of a player that's going to come into our squad. Yeah, wait a sec. You're saying, Joe, you're talking as if he's just going to come in and work. That's how you're feeling straight away. So, if that's the case, fine, and it could be the case. But to also have the reservations of a player fitting in this current crop of squad players that we have is also fair, in my opinion. Because what have we currently seen up to now from this current crop of players for us to be happy with another player coming in, playing?
that should be the exact reason you're happy and other players coming in, right? You don't rate any of these guys, so you should be happy that there's fresh blood coming in. Like, I don't understand. Like, listen, there's not one player that you're going to sign that's going to be the savior of this team. Even listen, you sign Enzo Fernandez and only Enzo Fernandez, he's not saving this team. Okay, so I think you guys should stop looking so short term at one player at a time. Let's build a squad. Joao Felix is a piece to a puzzle that we're trying to build here. Okay, so he's a very good piece to that puzzle. Let's just take it at that. This guy is not the savior. He's not going to come in and carry us through the Champions League, carry us into fourth. Like, that's not going to happen. I don't care. Like, he can have a great season. I hope he plays really well. I'm expecting him to be really good. But this guy is not, one single player is not going to save us from 10th place. Okay.
No, but Joao Felix is not going to work if we only bring him in this window. He's not going to work, right? We don't know when everyone else, the strong players in our squad, we can say, are going to come back from injury. He's not going to work. Only bring him in.
What? Now we have a 6 month. Now we have a 6 month audition of him in this team. We've got a 6 month audition of him in this Premier League. We can see if he fits. Now we also have a 6 month advantage on any potential team that might want to sign him in the summer. Because if he comes here and he loves London, he loves the team, he enjoys it, guess what? He'll make that move happen to Atletico Madrid.
Coming into a team that is completely rock bottom at the moment.
Exactly, and he's
dead. Okay, so I guess we probably should have just saved our money. We probably should have just saved our money in January then, and just not bought anybody. Just finish out the year.
Let Matt land the jizz, man. The vitamins. Big up the club.
He's gonna land these fucking Kepages now. Look,
but before he does, right?
Any fucking attacker we have combined, yeah. Let's be civil where we are here, yeah. Joao Felix, this guy's got a great talent. It's just how we execute it, yeah. And I've seen flops be executed this club, yeah. So I'm actually worried for Joao Felix because he's coming into a club who recently his boys, Mason Mount, Werner, Havertz, these guys who are great talent who got brought up failed. So I'm actually scared for him because if he comes in, he might fail on this team or he might succeed. We don't know, but I'd rather him fucking come than have Mason Mount and Havertz on this pitch every single day. I'm sick of it. So I'd rather some fresh blood come in.
When he struggles and doesn't get, and he can't.
Mate, it's a loan jam. Who cares? He struggles, send him out.
And he doesn't work, and he's taking 250,000 a week for 6 months, and then we all of a sudden the fan base turning him.
Mate, you send him back. Who else can we get?
He's crap.
Jim, who else can we get?
Fan base, mate.
But who cares? We send him.
And Martin, Josh, you see why the fans are kind of fed up of these signings, because whenever we did have a shit squad and we never really addressed the issue, we always signed these golden boys. Timo Werner was a golden boy at one point. Havertz was a golden boy at one point.
That's why we're signing Joao Felix on loan.
Until they come to Chelsea.
If it doesn't work out, Jim, you send it back. If it doesn't work out.
Did they win the golden boy or were they nominated?
No. I'm talking about like golden boy generation. Like Timo Werner was considered one of the best youngsters when we signed him. And he was only like second top scorer behind Lewandowski. Havertz was considered this generational player that everyone was raving about. With Chelsea, we've only signed these quote unquote next hot prospects. We're signing Nkunku as the next hot prospect as well.
Yeah. Nkunku is the way forward for me anyway. That is that anyway. But when you talk about Joao Felix and like Matt was saying, he's class, he's golden boy, he's this, that, and the other.
Never said that.
At the beginning of this show, I brought up his stats at Atletico Madrid for the last 3 seasons, and I've been told by Felix fans that he is a creator. This is what he does. He creates. Have you seen his assist levels? He's not a creator.
Look where he plays, Jam. Look where he plays.
Explain to me specifically what Joao Felix is. I want to know what he is. So what is it that will work? What is it that he'll do that will work for Chelsea?
Jem, you know what, Jem? I don't care. I don't care. He comes in. He brings more than one.
You can just read what he said. He looks at himself as a second striker. That's what he said his best position is. I'll go with that. I think that's what he is. That's what he says he is best at. I'll go with what he thinks he's best at.
Look where he plays. Playing off the left wing.
Look where he plays his club football, Jim. You guys just spent 20 minutes saying how anti-football Simeone is and how terrible of a manager he is and how much he parks the bus. But then you're going to tell me this kid needs to be scoring 20 and assisting 15 in that system. Like, come on, man. You guys can't have it both ways. You can't say Simeone is anti-football and he sits back, parks the bus. He would probably win us some titles sitting back. Like, that's a bad thing.
I wouldn't want that anyway.
But you want this kid to have 30 goals? Like I
don't want this kid to have 30 goals. But when you're talking about a player that's only scored 10 goals in 3 seasons, that's the max he's hit for Atletico Madrid in 30 games.
But Zakaria was playing bad at Juventus, and he came back and he had a revamp of a career. Revamp his career.
This is my thing with it, right? This is what I'm trying to get at. What are we expecting from Joao Felix?
We'll find out.
That is what I'm asking the people that want Joao Felix. What are we expecting from Joao Felix?
To be better than Mason Mount and Kai Havertz.
It's a sexy name. Right, it's a techie footballer. It's what they want, man. It's a sexy name, a techie footballer. It's a shit signing deal, man.
I don't care.
Joao Felix, man. Chelsea. That's what it is.
I'm going to back him because he's wearing the shirt. I back all my players that come in. However, I will hold reservations on how I think he's going to be, how I think he's going to fit the team. Yeah, ultimately, purely because he's here for 6 months, he's taking $250,000 wage for the next 6 months as well. Yeah, and let me tell you something now. He's coming into a league where we moan about him having to be able to adjust. Players need time to adjust. He ain't getting that because he's only here for 6 months. So
I'd say the player's adjusting thing, that's relative to the player. I don't think Erling Haaland needed any adjustment time, did he?
No, that's fine. That's fine. He didn't. But what I'm saying is he hasn't got that leeway when you think about it.
Sure he does. He's on a loan, Jem. He's got all the leeway.
No, he's here for 6 months.
Yeah, so he's gonna just pull his heart on 6 months. So he doesn't.
What do you have to lose for 6 months?
Doesn't matter. There's nothing to lose. As I said, Jim, I understand your concern. We're paying big money for him.
You guys, we are sitting in 10th place. We have one trophy. We're in one competition outside of the Premier League right now. Like anything is better than what we're watching. I don't care who it is.
I agree with that.
But like it doesn't matter. Potter will probably play him at defensive midfielder anyway, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
How much better are we going to be with him? And then the next question, Josh, is how are we going to utilize him?
Well,
how are we going to use
him on that pitch is already better than half our team.
He's Joao Felix, Jem. He's Joao Felix.
No, but Hassan, it's not just the name, Hassan. It's just not just that. I've said I think the guy's on horrible athletic.
Oh, bro, if his name was Johnny Blooming, his name was Johnny.
If his name was Johnny Windrose, yeah, I wouldn't want him anyway.
Hassan, who would you have preferred we sign?
I prefer we'd sign someone that I prefer. Go on, sorry, Jem. I was gonna say. I knew myself.
I haven't got nothing against Joao Felix, the player himself. Even though I don't rate him as high as others, that's true. I don't, from what I've seen of him. However, I just struggle to work out, and this is just my own opinion on it, how we're going to utilize him, what we expect from him, and on top of that, 6 months and $250,000 a week to then not have no obligation to buy. The fact that Atletico Madrid have complete control of this deal from top to bottom, yeah. So even if he does do well, which is good for us, and I hope he does, because if he does well, that means we do well, and I'll be happy because yes, he proved me wrong. He's right. You know, he's built some chemistry with some of these forwards. Yeah, that's fine. But he's good. His release clause is in control of them. So we'd end up if they do sell him to us, it could be anything from 80 million plus because that's his market value at the moment anyway. Which is fine, providing he's kicking on and he's working. So what I'm saying is, I will give him the opportunity. I just got this feeling that, like most forwards that have come in so far, they may just struggle, especially with what we have up with the forward line at the moment and what we're expecting from him to a certain level, which is what I don't know what the expectation is because I'm asking the question: what is the expectation of Joao Felix? To what he's getting paid, to what he's doing here, to only be in his 6 months, to then having to need time to get used to this league, which I think he's still going to need, in my opinion. I'm not too sure with the whole thing. When I look at it overall, I'm just not too sure. So
I mean, I think you're right. I think we should have added that buyout clause. You know, as I said, something if he worked out fantastically, we could have signed him. But I think him looking at it, it's him to kind of revamp his career. You know, because you're right, Jim. At Atletico, he's been playing shit the last 6 months. But I said, I know this guy's natural talent. It's how we execute at Chelsea. Can we execute it properly to the fact that he makes us win games? Now, if he makes us win games, this is kind of a point where we have 6 months to get another attacker or midfielder, wherever the fuck he plays, in August. It's just giving us time to look at other players. Because where will he play? You say, Jem, this guy can play every position. Left wing, left mid, cam. Probably can play stadium. He can play where he's so versatile. He's a great player.
Even in golf.
For me, it's just coming in. It's just coming in to replace Mount and Havertz. That's all I care about. Because anything is better than what we have right now.
That's fine. And then we'll have to wait and see. He's here now. So at the end of the day, I hope it works. But I just feel we need more still. and hopefully we get.
I mean, 100%. We do need more.
Well, and Jim, you could say that like, what's he good at? Where does he play? What's he meant to do? Under Potter, you could literally say that about anybody in our team.
I agree,
because I don't know what he wants to do. I have no idea how Graham Potter wants to play football.
But again, you get what I'm saying, though. That's what worries me. Because
you're bringing Graham Potter player? Who knows?
Yeah, you're bringing him in with players that we're not even sure system-wise what the players can offer. And we're going to go and bring him into the whole group of shit that we currently have at the moment up front. Look, this is the thing. If we get him and we go and buy another forward, which could happen, yeah, and then in that case, all right, we've got options. And I get the options because of currently what we've got at the moment. We've got players that are injured, Pulisic and Sterling, and we've got Mount and Havertz who are just not at it. I get it. I get why they're panic buyed. It's a panic buy. But I get why they panic buy it, because we are struggling with the forward line. Yeah. But ultimately, I think we still need to add more to it. And on top of that, I think we still do need to look at the midfield. If we can find someone for the midfield now, do it. You know, if there's a deal to be done, let's just get it done. Because the midfield is a bit of a problem. I think we can all agree with that as well. But it's just how much are we going to get done in this January window? That's the thing that's a bit. If you bring Joao Felix in on his own and you bring in, I don't know, I think they'll bring in someone else. I don't know in what position where they'll bring it in. How much more does that improve us? You know, and then what is
it? Jim, can you call it a panic buy?
Huh?
Can you call it a panic buy?
Well, I don't think we buy him if all of our forwards are fit.
It depends how it goes, but it's still not a panic buy when it's just a loan. I think it's still the best case scenario. We can buy any of the players that you wanted, and people are really screaming out for a creative midfielder. We can spend big bucks and take a risk with someone, and a right back as well, and they don't work out. I mean, they'll just stay in the team. That adds to
he's got quality, declared.
To the pile.
He's got quality. It's not like he's a shit player. He's not a shit player, Felix.
I know.
What I'm saying, I think when I'm sorry. I think when you hear people say panic buy, I think they mean in terms of if Sterling and Pulisic don't get hurt, we probably don't look to bring him in January just because we have numbers there. Because we have injuries, we're sort of forced into the market to. But listen, a panic buy would have been going and getting like Trossard from Brighton or something like last minute. Like this is actually to me like the best case scenario. You're getting a potential elite player on loan. In a position of need, multiple positions of need, to be honest with you, and he gets an audition in your league basically for 6 months for your team. You know, it's not like usually these guys when they come, it's not like they come for 6. If they come for 6 months and they're like, "Oh, this place sucks so bad, I hated it, I'm never coming back." They usually get the fans get into behind them. If they play well, they get like a good feeling for them. I mean, he's been playing death ball for like 2 years now. He hates Simeone. He's been living in hell basically and playing for Atleti. Like maybe this gives him a little bit of a second go at his career. Like he gives him a bit of energy.
He's so young.
Yeah, he'll be excited to be out of there. That's basically it. And I agree. And I agree with the loan. I think I said it yesterday too. I mean, people were really hung up like as if we bought him. It's a perfect scenario. But you are right. A panic buy is not probably panic buy is the last second buy. I mean, I think we're confusing both as well. Any transfer in January is a desperate buy because you either got an injury problem, or your opportunity, or an opportunity that you're going to buy a player now that would be cheaper now rather than in the off season, right? But besides that, you're buying for desperation, right? Not even desperation. You got injuries, you have to buy, and you're gonna have to pay. So if we can get all, like I said, you guys want a right back, someone's got to come in that knows that he's going to play behind Reece James when he's fit, right? Reece James is also young. You can't get a young player behind to think that he can take the spot eventually or learn and maybe get it. So that player in the midfield is going to be a bit of a risk as well. If we could get those guys on a loan and see how they go and then maybe sign them, no. But if they don't work out, those two players that you guys want, you're just going to be there on the side. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and you don't have the best options in this window, and you pay more too.
No, and exactly. And look, if it's not an opportunity to sign a potential player in a certain position, midfield, right back, whatever, you don't do it. And then we'll have to just get on with the season, go into summer and then work from there. I get that. So if deals can't be done, they just can't be done. Enzo Fernandez, 120 mil. some may feel that it should have been done. Others may feel it was a lot of money. But I would say majority of the fan base agree to getting him. But if to Chelsea themselves, the hierarchy, the board feel that they're not willing to pay that, I completely understand it because it is a lot of money on one player in the midfield. So I get that. It's not, you know what I mean? So it's just about prioritizing and then finding your targets. And then when can you get your targets? Is it now or do we have to wait until, you know, the summer? And if that's the case, then we're going to have to be patient. This is not something, it's not no short-term fix, Chelsea. It is unfortunately going to take a couple of seasons to get this team where we need it to be. And patience is going to need to be given. But we've got this super chat from Avik. It says, Felix is an upgrade to left wing, right wing, or second striker options we have now. Tony's with us as well. How are we doing, Tony? You all right?
Yeah, very well. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. What's your thoughts on Joao Felix to Chelsea?
Well, is it a done deal then? I mean, I know.
Yeah,
I thought
he's
on a flight to London as we speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's it? 11 million? Is that right?
So it's 11 million euros, which is around 9 million sterling, and he's taken about £250,000
pounds of wages.
Well, it's a sensible move, isn't it? Let's be honest. Because it's 6 months, and you know we can take the hit. We need players right now. We've got injuries like you wouldn't believe, and therefore, we need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. Like you say, though, his stats aren't fantastic at the moment, but you know, pre-COVID, he was going for £113 million. So, you know, he's obviously a player that I think it was the fourth biggest transfer, wasn't it? Fourth or fifth biggest transfer. Fifth, yeah. So Benfica got a lot of dough from him, didn't they? From Atletico. Obviously, it hasn't really worked out there, but he's a class act, and we just got to hope, haven't we? Really, it's like anything. We don't know any of these players are going to fare in the Premier League. It's a physical league. Yeah. But 6 months, it's a sensible move, isn't it? It's not mega money that we've laid out, and we've got a high quality player. And let's have it right. If Arsenal got that deal over the line right now, we'd all be hearing about it online. So, and they'd be buzzing their nuts off. So, you know, I don't see why we're all negative about it. You know, we have to look at it and go, well, okay, things are a bit fucking shit right now.
I don't see Arsenal or even Man United paying his wage, and I think that's probably why they didn't.
Because they can't, Jam.
Well, maybe they can't. I don't know. I think
some clubs aren't built equal, right? Some clubs are not built equal.
£5.3 million of wages over 6 months, equaling to around 250, 275 a week, being one of your highest paid players at the club now. Obviously, Lukaku's still on the books, but he's not here.
Well, it's Sterling, isn't it? Sterling's a top man, isn't it?
I reckon.
Jim, to the wage thing, we've had guys stealing wages from this club for like 3 or 4 seasons now. I'm not worried about 6 months of Joao Felix
wage. Are we moving away from that? I thought, are we staying down that? This is the thing that we're learning about the board, the hierarchy. What is their approach with salaries? What's their approach with contracts? What's their approach of projects? What's the idea? Is this still going to be the case where we're just going to pay players high wages? Like these are things we don't know.
You know, and unfortunately, Jim, with
not high wages, matching wages.
Unfortunately, with potentially no Champions League next year, you might have to pay a little bit extra to get these guys in the door, right? I mean, you can't sweeten the pot with, hey, we're going to be in 6 competitions this year and this and that. Like, no, you got to be like, listen, for a season, we're probably going to play once a week. Outside of that, we'll give you an extra $50K a year. How about that? That'll sweeten the pot for a season, you know, until we get back in Champions League.
We also lose money when we don't get in Champions Leagues and other
Sure. It's
that's part of the process, isn't it? That's part of the process. You want to have a process, you got to take else.
No, look, I don't mind not being in Champions League for once. With Chelsea, it's always that case, isn't it? Where we miss it for once and then we're back in it. I just hope that is the case. I don't want us to go down the routes of a United or an Arsenal where they miss 3, 4, 5 seasons out of being in Champions League. You know? So that
we've seen what Chelsea can do when they don't play in European football in the Premier League. And to be honest with you, Jim, with the amount of games that these guys have played over the last 3 seasons, if we have 1 season of no European football, I'm not going to cry one bit about it. Like that extra day off during the week, you know, and you're not playing on Thursdays. You're only playing one big game a week, really. Like a Chelsea team with that kind of rest we've seen what kind of damage they can do in the league. I would be all for it if we needed a season out of Champions League. It just is what it is.
I just see
now that we're knocked out, are we going to do well?
I hope our players at the moment aren't thinking, oh, okay, let's think of next season. Now, I still think there's a slight chance of top 4, depending who we bring in this January. It all depends on who we bring in, Jem, because I'll be honest
Don,
with
if
you,
you start a religion, I want to join, buddy. I want to join
I
that.
don't see
Give
it
me that
happening.
book. I'll read it all.
Look, I'll
Every
be honest.
night.
Right now, we're not getting top 4. We're not getting top 4. Yeah, we're not
Bro,
getting
but that's what I love about it, because
it's
yesterday
not
you said the
impossible
same
right
thing.
now.
You said there's some hope, and then you said there's guaranteed we're not going to get it.
We're not, as it stands right now, we're not going to get it.
You're in a battle with yourself at the moment, Don. That's what's happening.
I can reassess that.
You're battling with yourself. No one's disagreeing. Like, I mean, that should be ruled out, but you're holding a little hope there. It's still.
But the main point, the overarching point I'm making is that, look, I don't want the players to think, oh, this season's a write-off. I still want them to play well. I still want them to try to potentially get top 4. Again, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
It depends on.
I see it happening, Don. Sorry, I killed your dream, but let me give it up. Let me give it a boost. If we sack Potter and it comes out that he did lose his dressing room, and all these players were down tooling, then we'll be on a 10, 14 game streak. We're out of every other competition. All we have is the EPL, and if these players were all actually downing tool, we can go on a run, and that run could lead closer to the top 4. There you go. There's your dream, Don, and that's how it happened. Because if you want a performance elevation from the whole team, right? That's one way it can come about.
You're absolutely 100% correct there. The only way we're going to get top 4 is if we do sack Graham Potter, and I don't give a fuck what anyone says about that factor. We made a monumental fucking error of judgment. Our owners fucking, by ripping the insides of our football club out, and I'm talking everyone from the physio department, line management. It's the first rule of business. What you don't do is, if it's not broke, you don't. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. Do you know what I mean? So obviously it's a machine that's been working in place for 25 fucking years, copious amounts of fucking trophies, silverware. I would suggest that we were doing something fucking right, wouldn't you? Yeah. So one thing you don't do.
No. We've not been run properly since 2015. It needed a wholesale change. We have been rubbish in the league since 17-18. We've allowed cup runs to paper over cracks of this club.
To his point,
this club, off the field and on the field, needs radical change. We need to be like Man City and copy what they do to be successful.
So we need to spend.
To his point, that model was a Roman model.
One at a time, guys.
I would never say no to the success, but we should have had more success under the previous regime.
Well, okay. So let's look at the last 25 years then, shall we? Yeah. Like, we won 28 trophies, by the way. 28 trophies, yeah. And if you count the amount of times we either come runner-up or second, that's 55 fucking times, yeah, we were knocking on the door, right? I know what you're saying about 2015, but let's have it fucking right. What happened, right, around that period of time, or just after, we had all the ramifications with regards to this country's fucking opposition to Russia and the bollocks that's going on right now. And now and let's have it right. We've been targeted from day dot. Roman Abramovich's fucking visa, the whole fucking shenanigans. Has any of you guys ever seen Frank Lampard's interview, right? I think it was on about 5 or 6 months ago. He's doing an independent video, right, okay, about what went on at Chelsea and the expectations and the way, the levels, right, okay, that you adhere to. The best way to describe it is if you watch fucking Emma Hayes, yeah, she knows, right, okay, what the history and the culture of this fucking football club is all about. You say, right, okay, we've got to change everything, right? I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, right? But do you do it all in one hit? Do you rip it out? Like, even our fucking physios, yeah, people going about the injuries we've got right now. We took out the guy that was with the club for 17 years. By the way, he got waxed, right, by a Skype call. Yeah, another guy, and by the way, he was good enough to fucking manage the French National Republic, the French side. Also, another guy that's been there for 10 years, yeah. And we had a line management. And the reason why Thomas Tuchel was successful, and he was, right, was simply because, right, okay, he did what he does best, right, what he loves best. He always used to say, the one thing I love about this club is the fact that all I do is concentrate on what I do best, and that's to coach, yeah? And then we expected him to do other fucking jobs. Todd Bowley fucking then appointed himself right as director of football. Out went fucking Bruce Buck. Out went Marina Gavaskaya. Out went every fucker, yeah? And now it's all on fucking, on Thomas Tuchel's shoulders. But one thing I want you to bring up, guys, yeah, and then I'll fuck off, yeah, is Simon Jordan. Did you see Simon Jordan? What Simon Jordan said on Talk Sport?
What did he say?
Yeah, there seems to be more to the
right.
thing.
Okay. Now, I listen. I'm not an influencer, right, Jess? I know we know. You know what I mean? We know each other and all that. I'm not an influencer. I'm not a Rory Jennings. I'm not a fucking Eunice H. I'm not a fucking George Benson. I'm not a fucking Blue Lions fucking TV or a CFC Fans TV. Although I go on it from time to time, and I'm happy to do so. Big you up, right? What I will say, right, okay, is I'm little old me, yeah, and I put a fucking video out there, right? Just after Tuchel was sacked, right? Okay, and I got a call. Listen, I've got a call. I don't want to give it like I've got loads of fucking sources and all that, but there is one particular guy that does keep me in the loop a little bit, yeah. And he's never been wrong. And he turned around and told me, he gave me the reasons why, right? Okay, they got rid of him, right? Because if you remember at the time, there's lots of talk about him getting a new contract, yeah, negotiating a new deal, yeah. It was nothing to do with the Zagreb result. It was to do with some outside of football things, not so much about the commercial aspects. It was to do with the fact that he likes to line a coke, he likes to have a little boogie, and of course his fucking his marriage went tits up. He had that Brazilian. I'm telling you guys, yeah, and this is the shit that I was told. Right now, if that's the reason, because what's his fucking face? Simon Jordan's telling Todd Bowley now to come clean on it, right? Well, let's fucking hear it. Because there's a lot of people like me, and I'm not an idiot, right? Okay, I've been going to Chelsea for 40 odd years, home and away, you know it, Jess, right? And I'm not an idiot, right? And I'm certainly not. Listen, I dug out Rory Jennings on this fucking channel. You know I did, right? 20,000 people saw that. And I said to him, listen, don't fucking dig the man out, yeah? Be careful what you fucking wish for. And I'm telling you now, right? Listen, I've got nothing against Graham Potter. He's a lovely guy, right? He is a lovely guy. But listen, having a university fucking degree, right, ain't the same as the real fucking deal, yeah? Tuchel is the real fucking deal. He was the real fucking deal. And if they got rid of him for taking a line of fucking coke or fucking having a few wobblers here and there or whatever, right, which, by the way, is passion. This is my note, it's passion, right? Okay, then fuck me, we may as well condemn the whole world. Prince Harry's just brought out a fucking book talking about how he was charlieing himself up and everything else. So what we're saying, Prince Harry, you know, I'm sorry, mate, you're 15 right to the throne. You best fuck. It's ridiculous, guys. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, our club's been under attack, right, for years, right. And what they did to us with the sanctions, right? Let's have it right. They chose us because of the Russian owner. They didn't attack Bournemouth, by the way, at the time, did they? Or attack anything else with the Russian, or the oligarchs that were giving them a few fucking bungs, and the twat that fucking brought us up in Parliament. Didn't fucking worry about that one. There was a guy, by the way, that sanctioned it off the war in Iraq, where it's okay to deal with the Saudi Arabians, but it's not all right to deal with the Russians. Get fucked. It's a load of bollocks. And people need to start fucking telling the truth, guys. That's all I'm saying. And listen, I'm here to be shot at, and people can call me an arsehole, whatever. They can do whatever they like. But for me, Potter's got to go, mate. Got to go. Trust me, got to go.
No, I hear you, Tony. I like
strong statement by Tony there.
It is a strong statement because we ain't going to get nowhere with this, Spencer, right? Listen, let's have it right, yeah? What has he ever done? Graham Potter, if someone had said to you, right, I would understand it, and this is a controversial one for you, if they'd got hold of Mourinho and said, right, okay, well, we're in a bit of a shit here, we need to get rid of this guy, okay? So let's bring in, I don't know, a fan's favourite, maybe Mourinho or maybe Luis Enrique or someone, yeah, with a pedigree, yeah? Right? What we've got right now is, can you see a system? I mean, seriously, we're going to Fulham on, is it Thursday, isn't it, yeah? We're playing Fulham. And this has got to be the first time when we go to Craven Cottage or we play Fulham where they're the favourites. Now, how about that one? And that's how fucking far we're falling, guys. And we're 10 points off fourth place, but we're also 10 points off the bottom three.
And that's true. And on top of that, and let's not forget Tony as well. 11 injuries. It don't help, does it? You know, we've lost a lot of players in that team as well. You know.
Listen, I get a lot of stick, mate. Like, a lot of stick from what I'm saying. But there's also a lot of people that agree with me too. Yeah, and if it's bigger than the issues that I thought was the reasons why they got rid of him, if it's those reasons, then fuck me. Really, is that enough to get rid of that man? Right? Okay, if it's not football related, if that's the reason, and I want to hear about it, Todd. If it's something bigger, then fair enough. I'll roll my hands up and go, well, okay, I get that one. Maybe Todd Bowley doesn't want to, I don't know, dig the man out. Maybe he's like, listen, I'm going to protect your reputation. You know, you're going to get paid off. Everything's going to be sweet. I don't really know. But when you hear the likes of the fact that he was pleading for his job, This is a man that took us to 6 finals with the same players that everyone thinks is shit now. Yeah, the same fucking players, 6 fucking finals, 3 trophies he won us. He won us the complete and utter set. So, Champions League for a second time. Come on, guys.
Maybe the owners are hiding. Maybe the owners are hiding the truth for the right reasons. Maybe it will turn the fan base because I don't know, Tony, and that might be part of the reason why we may never learn it. Because
maybe he didn't share the cocaine.
But is it a big enough reason? We better. Is it a big enough reason? He likes to go for a few dances. He's a bit on
me up a line too, baby.
I was gonna say, right? Do you agree that there has to be that one guy that has to take the hit and has to take the hardest part about the rebuild when it's in a mess? There has to be that one manager.
I feel sorry for Graham Potter right now. I do. I feel sorry for him because he is out of his
he's in the hardest part of the rebuild, which is the start.
He's already going grey, isn't he? He's showing signs. Like what I'm saying is, you could see how stressed he was. He wouldn't wish that on anyone, right? But all I'm saying is,
Tony, do you think Thomas left him a bump on the desk before he left, just for when he for hard times? Left him a little bump in the drawer.
Maybe, who knows?
Anyway, let's move away from
someone give Potter some.
Anyway, I'm going to fuck off. I'm going to fuck off, Chess. I've taken my piece of off now.
No worries. Take care of yourself. Yeah, big up to you. Follow Tony on.
Much love, guys. Much love. Up the Chelsea. Come on. All right. See you later, boys. See you later.
Right. I want to go to Daniel next. Daniel.
Dan the man.
Mr. Yellow Bus. What are you saying?
Follow up that breaking news, Dan.
I'm not gonna give my true thoughts because I'm too negative.
No, we're not doing that.
Let me just
wait. More negative than what Tony said.
First things first, don't do coke. You know what I mean? If you do coke, don't get fired from your job. I know Tony said, let it slide. Listen, in any work of life, if they catch you doing coke and you're not fucking Maradona, you're going to get fired.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how the world works sometimes.
That's the way it works. You can't do coke in a new job. Apart from that, right? Listen, my big problem is
you probably needed it with that squad. I don't blame him. But anyway, move on, Joao Felix. What we say, Daniel?
Joao Felix is pointless. But listen, if they want to spend money where they want to spend money, we'll see how it works out. My biggest problem is when you're addressing a sickness, when you're addressing an illness, you go for the places that are more affected, right? Let's say you have cancer. You try to handle the actual cancer that you have. You don't get surgery to get, your hair transplant. This is what this is. It's a hair transplant when you're dealing with cancer. It's pointless. You have right back where you're going to be fucked at right back every time. Everybody knows Trent is 10 times the player Aspie is, and players still target him every time. That's the way you can beat Liverpool. Target him. So we understand that you can target one part of your team and get fucked, right? It doesn't matter. So we're just seeing that and saying, you know what? Let's not fix that yet. Midfield is an open gash, right? Let's not fix that yet. Let's get another forward and hope he can. The only players that can carry this team right now to anything are Harzet level players. We're not signing that in right now, right? Unless you're paying 15 million extra to get in Kunku to come in right now instead of the summer. Any other deal for forwards is pointless when your whole team is fucked. Felix is going to do nothing for you. So you're wasting $250K a week, 11 million being bought. To me, is for no reason because the team is still not, and people are going to make excuses. Well, he's only here for a loan. Who cares if he should? Yeah, I care because we just wasted 16 million. I definitely care. That's pointless. That means you're not doing the right thing.
Me and you agreeing for the first time. We're actually agreeing on something. This is amazing. Me and Daniel, agreeing on
if you bought midfielders, if you bought a right back, that's not gonna make us win the league. But you've addressed aching parts of your team that is really, 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 really bad. These are the worst areas in your team currently. The worst. Where it's like Aspie can't play anymore. None of our DMs are good. None of our 6s are good. None of our 8s are good anymore. Right? And I love him out. He doesn't want to be here. That's clear, but the way he's playing. Midfield is the number one position where there's a major problem. Where any
can I chime in here, Tim?
Team or random player can come into midfield and do what they want to us. Right? Any right winger can do what he wants on the right or on the left side, which means the midfield isn't helping them. Plus, they're also shit. So my point is, you address things that are aching in in your team and you build from there. We're trying to skip the process to say, let's get Joao Felix in. Maybe he can do something that he's never been able to do. If people are looking at someone like a Simeone, and I mentioned this on other streams, a top manager, and saying he's a terrorist, his shit, this is the reason why this kid hasn't done well. Let me see what they say about Potter, who hasn't achieved a done shit. He's done nothing. So if Simeone can't get him going somewhere, Potter's supposed to make him. Yeah, Potter's the one who's going to get him going and put the tactics in place and change his entire career. It's not going to happen. Ricardo Quaresma, this is it 2.0. If you guys remember when we signed him and we thought, oh yeah, Quaresma's going to come in and do something for us, and it's going to be absolutely nothing. But I'm happy that fans are happy. It's a new shiny thing. The club has done their job, which is when we're in terrible straits, they look and see who can we get to make the fans happy, right? And they got him, and the fans love it, especially the kids on Twitter. They love this kid. He's a savior. They're going to find ways, and it's going to be Potter. He's going to be the number one, the easy target, because if you're killing a world-class manager, a guy who's won titles and has broken the duopoly of Barcelona, Real Madrid, if you're killing him and saying he's a terrorist, he's shit, he's killed this kid, what do you think is going to happen with Potter, who is nobody, who has no resume?
Dan, do you think it's possible that they're still working on those in midfield and right back positions right now, but because of how quickly they could get this done, they got it done? I mean, it took 24 hours to complete.
People going a bit over the top. There's still a lot of time left to midfielders. We do definitely need midfielders, but
I agree with everything you said in theory.
I've seen this story about 5 times. Excuse me, if I don't want to hear, or do you think they're still going to get it? No, I don't. I'm sorry. Until they get it, I don't think so. Because this happened last summer when we were signing player after player after player, and we said, you know what, they're still going to get a center mid. Don't even worry about it.
We pretty much had to replace our whole back line. So it wasn't going to be realistic to get midfielders in.
I'm not. Listen, I really don't care about that opinion. It makes no sense to me at all whatsoever.
The manager didn't want a midfield.
How? We lost.
There you go. So my thing is this: if the manager, this is a crucial area. If the manager is looking at it and said we need to replace our left back that's injured, what about our right back that's always injured?
Yeah,
every time.
Daniel, no one disagrees with your point about a right back here. The problem is, I think you're overanalyzing it. You're getting a bit too irate. Basically, they saw an opportunity. They could do this deal quickly. They spoke to Potter. He got 2 injuries recently. Let's get him in now. They'll work on these other deals.
I think it's pointless.
Subsequently,
I don't know. I don't like
you I just think said. It's pointless to
you didn't hear the first one I said.
As fans, yeah.
Hold on. I get it.
I heard your point. As fans, yeah.
No, you didn't, because you're talking about they're bringing him for an opportunity. Like I said, the only forwards that you can bring in that will work in this team as we are right now is a Hazard level player, is a world class player that can carry teams, that even if your coach is shit, the players are shit, they're still who
There's not many of them out there.
There's not many around, number one. And this kid is not it. So my belief is, unless you're getting that type of player in January, in terms of forwards, you have to address everything else.
How many injuries?
Well, that's kind of why we loaned him, right? To find that out, if he's that guy.
Yeah, he's not been that guy for a player.
He's not that guy. There's no finding out. He's not that guy.
I don't understand how you conflate 2 different things. He hasn't been that guy for Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid play a completely different style of brand of football. Completely different. It doesn't liberate a guy like Joao Felix. It doesn't give him the freedom to explore.
I'm talking about
all the time.
How was Hazard at 23
of the time?
Who is creating for Joao Felix in that team?
Can I just say this? The players I'm talking about do not need to be liberated. I never once thought Eden Hazard needed to be liberated. He was.
You know what? But he did though.
He did it. He came in at. Hold on. Let's say what happened with Hazard.
Sorry. All of us, everyone that saw Eden Hazard play, see the best Eden Hazard under Sarri.
Hey, Jem, did Hazard win the league title under Jose Mourinho Conte?
Yes.
Did he win it on his own?
Hold on. Did he win a player
on his own?
Can I finish talking?
Did he win it on his own?
I mean, I'll argue. The Jose Mourinho season, he was unbelievable.
Did he win a player of the year in that year?
Was Costa on that team scoring 20 goals for us?
You're going off topic a bit. You're skewing off the
I'm
point.
not going off topic. We're talking about.
Let me land my point. You've spoken a lot.
Don't need that.
Let me land my point. My point is, all I'm trying to say is, everyone else is sort of in agreement. You're on a good point, but on a bit of a tangent. The main point is the window's not over. So you getting angry about, oh, why'd you get Joao Felix? He's not priority. We get it. He's a priority. He's not the priority. We understand the priority is right back in midfield, isn't it? We can't get those yet because we don't want to get any bum in midfield just to fill the gap. But we can't necessarily spend 110 million on Enzo, and that's the opportunity cost of money we can spend on other areas. So they're thinking about it, going, who can we get in midfield now that maybe we'd stop the gap that's good enough to be the team? And they just went, oh, Joao Felix, we need him right now. Our attack is lackluster. We've got no one there. And as simple as that. I don't think it's that deep where it's like,
is there a thought, Ches, is there a thought process? Is there a thought process behind buying him?
I believe it is a panic buy.
What are we expecting from Joao Felix in this current crop? I keep asking people the same question.
Okay, cool. In my opinion, if you ask me, I would say that they've just seen opportunity to get an attacker to fill in the injuries.
Exactly.
We have a crisis right now.
So what, is just a number? Is he another number?
I just think he's a number, and they've spent the money because they see he's obviously a good player. He's not a rubbish player for 5 million. How much it is for 6 months, but he's a good player who's got potential to be better. They want to test it out. They see someone's a stopgap, and that's it. It is a panic buy, but I don't think
it's not a panic buy. It's not a panic buy. We're not buying him. We're
loaning him. When I say panic buy, I don't mean negative.
Let me ask Couch this: would we have got Joao Felix if all our forwards were fit?
No.
So what is he then if we've got these injuries?
He's an opportunity.
He's a fill-in for these for the injuries we have. Don't forget we have Nkunku coming in as well, right?
Okay.
Right. So there's no reason to buy this guy. There's no reason to put an option to buy this guy when you have Nkunku coming in the summer, right? This is a stopgap solution to a problem that we have right now. Yeah, you guys would all be berating Potter and the board and all these things and say, if we have these long-term injuries, why didn't we just bring somebody in on loan? You see somebody else go, you see him go somewhere else. You'd be berating all these guys. They've done the right thing. We have a need right now. There's no question about it that we have a need right now. We don't score any goals. We don't have anybody that can play on that left side right now. Let's just be real.
So would you be happy? Would you be happy if we just signed Joao Felix and that's it in January?
But that's not going to be the case, though, Jen.
I was just asking that question. If that was the case,
no, I would not be happy with that. But that, Chaz, you hit it right on the head too. Like, keep in mind, this window's still open. You guys are looking at this thing as in a microcosm where only thing that we're going to do right now, because that's the only thing that we have done is Joao Felix. There's more work to be done. We all know that. We need a right back. Everyone knows that.
And what gives but Couch with how limited January is, it's going to be difficult.
All the reliable journalists have all come out and pretty much said the same thing in terms of Chelsea working on deals in the background and Chelsea trying to be as active as possible. They know that we've got multiple gaps, especially in midfield. So I think right now, Daniel, I agree with the points that you're making, but as it stands, the reaction that you're having at the moment, I think is a bit over the top, just because the window's not over yet. I would completely agree with you if this was transfer deadline and we're getting in Felix and we haven't sorted out the other areas. But we're literally a week into January. There's still time to get
let me tell you.
You're asking me what I think.
Daniel, before you go, Daniel, before you go, you go after me, right? Just want to say this one thing, right?
Go ahead.
If we go through this January window without signing a creator, anyone to create in this team in this January window, I am telling you now, we are not going to see much difference with Joao Felix.
And I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. But I think how many right backs have we
had? $250,000 wage, 5.3 million in 6 months, to not then aid that person that you're bringing in to improve. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, to improve. That's what I'm saying. We need to have a creator. We need
Jen, they might not be like going down a board of like, we got to get him first and then we can work on him. And then it's like Felix is there. We can get this done in 24 hours. Done. Check. Bang. All right. Now we know how many right backs have we been linked to. Matty Cash, Pedro Porro, like all these guys we've been linked to in January. Right. So, but those deals take a little bit more time because they're not. Atletico Madrid was trying to actively loan out or sell Joao Felix, so you could get that done quick. Joao was trying to get out of there. These other guys, those deals take a little more time because there might be a buy, might be a loan with an option, who knows? But we've been linked with midfielders. The reports this morning, we're still talking and trying to get Enzo. Like they're still working on this. We got another 21 days left in the window. Like,
I agree. We've got to wait. I agree. We have to wait.
Can I add why do we want to go all out? Like, you want a creative midfielder, I'm sure you want a really good one, right? And this window isn't the greatest. You're not going to get your best option. and there's nothing to salvage of the season, Felix can still give a solo performance to judge him, right? Whether he's good for the future, whether he's worth the buy, right? That's what Felix can do on his own, right?
Felix on Eden Hazard. That's the problem. He's not coming in as a player.
It's not Eden Hazard, but he can show you something. Even if there is no creator to give him the ball, you can see something there. Even if the whole team is poor, you can see if he shines, whatever. He can still do a solo performance, and you give him the leeway that we're missing type so-and-so player. But to go all out and get that creative midfielder, get that right back, because that's why are you getting what's left of the season? Why go all out to think we're salvaging something, right? This way, you're getting to see anyone that comes in on loan. You're getting to see them, so and then you can decide next season. That's not how I see it. And you guys want a creative midfielder? You want a right back, right? I wish they come in on loan as well, so we can see whether to keep or not. Because if they come in and they're not good at all, like if a right back comes and he's no good and he's worse than Aspie, then what? He's just going to sit there. And you signed him, right? And how many years?
Why are those your only options? Like you have a 4-man.
Because you're limited options, Dan. In January, you know that, yeah.
You have a 4-man scouting team, right? Who've come in with their own players. We know that they came for Paul Winstally or whoever the fuck it was at Monaco. We know that's where he came from because Josko was under Vivel. That failed, so they went down the list. They're going down the list. There is a list of players when it's like a left center back, right? We go for Josko, whose Vivel was his sporting director. It didn't work out because the price was too high. Josko even came out and said that we tried to get him this January, right? It didn't work out. They went down the list. The Monaco guy who we signed, who was their sporting director, went through his list and said, Badia Chile is there. So they get him. Go through the list. Use your scouting network.
That's what I'm saying, Dan. In this window,
I don't understand what's going on. Why do you think that?
Hold on. In January window, you go low on that list. You're gonna.
My thought is this: I don't care about Felix either way. I absolutely do not care. I think it does nothing for a team or like help us whatsoever. I will care if we sign a right back. I will care if we sign a center mid. Then I actually care. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but when that happens, that's when I care. If you ask me about Felix and what Felix does for us or how it helps us, I think it's pointless. I think it's just something to get the fans happy, and it's working because it's what they usually do. They see we're down in the dumps and they find a player. Oh, everybody loves him. Let's get him in. It fixes we have a lot of issues in our team: goal scoring, a creative issue, solidity in the center, a right back issue. I think he solves none of those. So,
yeah, but no one player solves any one issue.
Dan, nothing's nothing's going to get solved. And if you're trying to solve something, right, you're going down. Obviously, you brought up the list, right? You want the people at the top of the list, right? And in January, you have to keep going down the list because it's limited, right? No club wants to lose players mid-season, and if you want him, you have to pay more. So you would rather have the people up on the list rather than keep going down the list, right? So why would you go down the list? That for players that don't solve any issues now, and we're not in any race or anything, right? It's a done season, right? Why bother when we can wait to the off season, right, and get the people on top of the list, right? Felix for me, and alone, yeah.
My thing is this: you're not getting any people of high quality if you finish 12th or 15th in the league. You're not getting any of those guys, right? You're not going to get those players.
We got Felix and Cuckoo. Who else? We did sign some decent players.
Got Felix on loan after he signed. He already signed a contract.
Yeah, but why would he come to a 10th-man club then?
I still haven't seen the Nkunku deal announced yet, right?
Oh, dude, it's a done deal. Let's not get carried away.
I thought it was a done deal. It's not a done deal.
That's cool. Listen, that's cool. That sounds good. The other players that we're after, right? If you don't get Enzo now, you finish 15 in the league. You're not getting him in the summer either. You're not getting these guys who have a lot of options of big clubs coming in for them if we're down in the dumps, if things keep on going worse. And that's where we are right now. We're not inconsistent, where sometimes we have a good game and we have a bad game, or sometimes it's great, sometimes it's bad. No, we're terrible.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. What I'm saying is every window has to be utilized at this point in time. We can't be like, well, we have to wait till this window. Every window has to be utilized correctly at this point.
Exactly.
We're not in the point where we can just like pick and choose where we can go in the window. We have a lot of issues that need fixing right now.
I could ask
but
you,
with your idea for the next season, yeah, like if you sort some stuff out this window in for the next season, I understand. But if you're going to pay more money and get to go down the list and get the your 10th choice player, right? For what? I'd rather get you go for the best player. Does that make sense?
But no one is asking for a 10th place player, right? My thing is this, and
when you keep going down the list, then that might happen.
There's no keep going down the list. You went through Josko and you went through Badiashile. It wasn't Badiashile go all the way down and get some random guy, right? My point is this: even if you're not because they said there was a whole list of 5 center mids that they wanted, including Enzo, right? If you're gonna, for me, I'd rather this 16 million spent on this kid. You put that extra, you get Enzo. If because that's solving a problem that we really, really need to solve. Rather than you know what? Yep. Here's a random.
So wait, you believe that Enzo will solve our problems?
Hold on, my brother. Just relax. No. Here's another 10 million for Thuram, or here's a 15 for. That's it's pointless signing. It's like a Saul. It's like I don't. There's no. It doesn't get me. It doesn't do anything for me.
Is Saul on the new ownership?
And for me, it doesn't solve any problem.
No, wait. Ask a question.
Here's the thing.
That's the point.
Saul under this ownership.
Me saying it's like Saul it's not me saying it's Boli who did it. I said it's a pointless signing like Saul.
So as in you're comparing two ownerships. That's the issue there.
I'm not comparing the ownership. I'm comparing the player.
We can compare transfers. It's
but Jem, the problem is I hear what Daniel's saying. Daniel's point isn't wrong. It's just very hyperinflated. His points are very
but then can I just say something?
I can explain why.
He has his reservations, but on the flip side, you've got Felix fans that are coming in their pants because he's coming.
Jem, I'm not. He's on one extreme and they're on one extreme. I'm nowhere either. I'm in the middle. I'm just seeing how it is. I hear what he's saying, but like the guy said, I don't know his name, but he said.
You know what annoys me more than anything is, and I see it in some people in the chat say as well, when we see he's a creator. He's not a creator. I've gone through his stats. The guy's had about 5 to 6 assists in 30
Jem, he's not creating because Simeone is a terrorist, and that's the reason why he's not creating.
He's just not a creator. It's not what it is.
Come on, Dan. You know that's disingenuous, right? Simeone does not play attacking football in any way, shape, or form.
Right, and I agree with that, Josh. But he's still not when you look at Joao Felix, and I see him for Portugal at the World Cup as well. Do you look at him as being like a Bruno Fernandez creator?
No, not even close.
So
would you say? Okay, but he's not Bruno Fernandez. But would you say that he would have been something close to Coutinho at Liverpool?
No.
Or is he more like a Mason Mount that could do a bit of everything? But he's not the
Mason. He's not Mason.
No, if he was a Mason Mount, Simeone would have loved him.
No, I'm saying because we talk about Mason Mount being able to do loads of different things, but just not the master.
He's not. Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing with that. You ask when you're in dire straits, you just ask what problems can this guy solve, right? Him coming in. This isn't we're not a rehabilitation center. It does nothing for us if he plays well, but doesn't really solve problems for us, and we just move on, right?
Oh, but this is where Dennis is.
You see, this is where Dennis is right. Understand. We have so many issues in this squad that unless we're dealing with the most pressing one right now, we don't see the need for the other ones. It's not necessarily true. We have all sorts of issues. In the final third, we don't have anyone that can play in the half spaces. We have nobody in tight spaces. We have nobody that can play those incredible passes to find people in space. This is what Felix is. We don't have.
I don't believe he's that though whatsoever.
Dennis, he's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we got a right back, someone say what happened to the attack. If we go on attacker, someone say what happened to midfield. It's one at a time.
That's deflection,
opportunities. That's it.
There is a lot.
If you want to focus on the forward line, just the forward line and say we want to get.
Oh, the forward line is very shit right now.
I understand that. What I'm saying is he's shit too. How is that not clear?
I guess we'll have to wait and see, man.
If you want me to actually say he's not a good player, he's a bad player. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I don't think he's a good player. I've been trying.
We'll find it. We have 6 months to find out. It's it's
6 months. We've been found out. He's terrible. What do you 6 months?
I agree. I don't think
he hasn't kicked the ball.
I'll be honest with that. I don't rate the player. From what I've seen,
I don't rate him whatsoever.
That's fine. That makes more. If you just don't rate him, that makes more sense.
Why didn't you say that then?
Now what you've been saying.
The first thing I said, the first 5 minutes was if you're gonna get an attacker, when we're so terrible, it needs to be a player on Hazard's level.
Meaning who can we get right now in January?
Meaning a world class player.
Right
I said it. If you sign in Kunku,
Daniel,
summer,
it's not even that.
I would rather you pay 20 million to get him in right now. That makes no sense.
Kunku's not world class though.
Not even that. Equally,
He is world class.
The biggest issue
Kunku's not world class.
Oh,
wait a
so
second.
why the fuck are we signing him?
Guys,
He's 25.
He's got potential to be world class. He's not world class now.
Guys, the issue I have with all of when we sign forwards and have been signing forwards isn't specifically that they have to be Eden Hazard. The issue for me is how they fit what we're currently doing and what we already possess and how it works. And that's
what are we doing right now, Jim?
Jim, that's the problem. We don't know
right now.
That's why I asked what the expectations are of this player.
What are we doing right now? What are we doing right now under Potter? Tell me what we're doing.
What do you mean? What are we doing right now?
What are we? You say he doesn't fit the profile. What are we doing under Potter?
I don't get what you mean. What we're doing on the play.
I think what
that's the right answer, Jim.
We haven't shown. We haven't seen a direction from a football standpoint yet under Potter. Like there's no direct.
No, you're right. Yeah.
There maybe the shape is because the last 3 or 4 games he played like a 4-2-3-1 to start the game at least. Like so maybe there's like an idea of formation he would like to play, but by the end of that City game we were like 3 at the back at some point. Like it was just a clusterfuck. But I don't think to say this player fits or doesn't fit what Potter wants to do. I don't think we've seen enough on the field from Potter to say what he wants to do.
You can see with your own eyes what the player is, what his abilities are, how he plays the game, what type of player he is, and from that you make your own image of how you think he suits what you're doing or how we're doing, or do we benefit from him? Or does he need to be in a system that actually works for him to then work very good? And that's the issue.
Bingo,
all of our forwards
is like a perfect point.
All of our forwards, you can look at across all of them, all really need to be in a system that actually works. They're not an Eden Hazard, like he's saying. That could just do
so when do you address what Potter wants to do, though? Like this is what I'm saying, though. Yes, we all know that our system right now, the attackers that we have do not work together, right? Yeah. They just don't. They suit a completely different brand of football, right? But when did you start addressing that? Like, when do you start repairing what has been wrong about this team? And I'm not saying. Keep in mind, I'm not saying that this is what that Joao Felix is going to provide. But you have to start addressing that. We can't just keep looking at the same problems over and over and over again and then not seeing any change.
So my thing is this, and this is my opinion. I think what we need in the forward line is someone that can actually dribble and create space. I don't think Joao Felix is that. I think Joao Felix is a second striker. My issue is I don't think we need second strikers at the moment.
We could use a striker.
Because with second strikers, they still need, in my opinion, to be around a focal point, someone that you can actually work from or with,
even
and not be relied upon.
Something you said earlier about most of our forwards need a certain system for them to work, right? Or they need the game kind of twisted to them, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it. Cool. Joao Felix is the exact same way in that he can't outperform a bad system. He can't outperform a terrible coach or an inexperienced coach. He can't do that. Like, he's not that type of guy. And that's currently where we are. That's currently what we actually need, is a player who can come in. Because we say, okay, he's under Simeone. Simeone plays a system that's real restrictive to him and blah, blah, blah. Well, you've watched our team for the last 15, 16 games. We're not playing open, fluid football where it's going to be acquiescent to the way he likes to play or people think he likes to play. It can't be Simeone is making him fuck up and then bring him in Chelsea and he might just outplay our terrible system or our terrible coach or whatever, blah, 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 because people don't even rate Potter. So it can't be that he can't do that there where there's a better team, a better structure that's been there for, decades, or at least one decade there, to come to Chelsea where it's chaos right now.
It's funny? It's funny? We had this discussion. You're talking about like Simeone as a world-class manager and how he doesn't make mistakes. Jose Mourinho got rid of De Bruyne. You know what I mean? Like, you have to find a player that fits your style of football. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, it's not about like, oh, he's failed under Conte, or he's failed under this guy, so he's not a good football player. You have to find your football. Maybe he's not as well-rounded a footballer as some of the players that you like. He's not well-rounded. He can't fit into any specific style.
Let me pick about
but he can certainly play attacking football. I know that.
But you guys forgot about that. Hold on, Dan. You forgot about one big factor, that before this agreement would have come along, right, to convince him, because probably there's more clubs that wanted him as well. Potter would have had to talk to him and say, I want to use you like this.
Exactly.
And he probably liked the way what he said, right? Which is what he doesn't like at Atletico. So, because if he came in and then Potter used him the same way Simeone was using him, what's the point? That's not what he wanted. And then he's not going to play. You're going to get a bad performance from him and whatnot. So obviously Potter's told him, this is how I'm going to use you, and sold the idea to him, right? And chose us for a loan, because that's what's going to happen now, right? And if it all comes, if Potter gets his way and he plays really well in the role he gives him, then we'll probably go for him. But if it doesn't, we're not, and that's what you're going to see. So obviously he's promised him something, right? A way of playing in the system he wants to play, right? That's convinced him to choose us, maybe over some other clubs.
Yeah, I mean, James Monroe's just come out with a donation. McAllister to come in along with Zakaria and Felix. Thank you for the donation, brother, but that's what he wants. Fabrizio Romano's also come out and said that the Joao Felix deal will not impact any impact on Christopher Nkunku's move. Chelsea have already sealed the agreement. We already know this for 60 million. Nkunku will become Chelsea player in July. All done. So I don't know why he had to bring that comment out, or what does he mean would have any impact?
Because people Dan asked it earlier in the thing. Is it even done, right? So I think he's just letting people know it is done.
The Nkunku deal was done, though. I thought the Nkunku deal was announced and done anyway. He said this.
Yeah, that's
It's just because they have a similar style of play, similar profile.
People don't have a brain to understand football.
Right, okay. So he's just trying to spoon feed it, probably. Yeah, okay.
But for me, just to, and I'm going to get ready to jump, so just wrap up real quick. I think Dennis is spot on when he says something like, and I think we all know this, right? Like Joao Felix to me is a piece. He's not the answer. In the same way that Enzo Fernandez, if we only signed Enzo Fernandez in January, he's not the answer either, because we don't have any forwards to score. So it wouldn't matter who he's playing balls to or this or that. So it's like they're both pieces. Like ideally, Chelsea in January with 21 days or whatever it is left to go, will get 3-4 pieces in January. Now, you don't want to, if you're buying guys, you don't want to just buy another scrub, right? You want to buy a guy that you think fits to what you're trying to do. So those deals take just a little bit longer to scout out and complete. I think they're working on that. Hopefully by the end of this window, we've got at least 2-3 maybe new players in. But yeah, he's just a piece, guys. Just like anybody, just like Enzo would be. These guys are all pieces to a potential puzzle that we're trying to build at Chelsea. There's a lot of ways, a lot of time to go, a lot of positions needed. So
we already got 2 players, yeah, Josh. So it's probably going to be more than that, yeah.
He's a piece of a short-term piece. He's not long-term piece. He's just someone that we're just putting in for now, and then we'll take him out.
I mean, we do have injuries, man. Let's not forget that, man. We do have injuries, right? Like to say that this deal is supposed to be the answer to the problems.
No, it ain't. Of course
no, it's not. It's the fact that we have injuries. We have 2 guys that who knows how long. Nobody's heard anything about what Sterling's injury is. Who knows how long he's going to be out?
We don't know how long he's going to be out. No.
I think it was that not playing former club injury. I think it was.
Sorry?
No, he's actually got swelling. He's actually got a hamstring issue.
I know, but when it happened, I just said, I don't think he wanted to play against his team.
Anyway, let's sum it up because it has been good. It's been nearly over 2 hours and 40 minutes. Jesus, I've been on that. But yeah, it's been good to debate. Look, I'm going to finish on just saying this. I'm open to seeing how he is. I always back a player when they come in. I will do that. I will give him the opportunity to show us what he can do. However, we do need to see more come in, and I'm not saying we're not going to do that. Fabrizio Romano has already come out and confirmed that we are doing many deals under the cards at the moment. Simon Phillips has come out and said also about Chelsea looking at taking the midfield quite serious in this January window. That Nunes from Wolves is another one that's been added to the list that they're actually looking at as well. So, you know, it's hard to imagine what we're going to look like at the end of this window. I think what we will have to do is wait. But along with that, we will have in the next couple of weeks a Reece James back, a Wesley Fofana back. What's his name? Ben Chilwell also. Kante's not far behind from what we've heard. So, like, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, by Feb, March, we've got most of the squad back, along with additions, you know, and we kick on. But in terms of Joao Felix, I will keep saying it, and I'll hold my reservations on it. Atletico hold the cards. This is all Athletic. This is all on Atletico. We don't hold any cards when it comes to this deal. You know, they're the ones that I think have benefited the most from it. But with Joao Felix, it's just going to be down to how he performs in the Premier League and how he suits what we do. And to aid getting the best out of him as the player himself, I think we do need to add acquisitions in this January window. Otherwise, I think we will find ourselves seeing another player not able to do or fulfill the requirements on $250,000 a week wage, which is what he's going to be on. Or maybe a bit more, someone was saying 275. So we'll see. I think what we have to do now is just wait and see how the window goes, and we go from there, guys. But big up to every single one of yous. Been a good show today. Over 800 people here. We've still got over 600 here combined at the moment as well. It's been a great show as always. We'll be back again with some more transfer news as well. Not sure when, either tomorrow or next day, we'll see. But it's been a good show. Don, Winter Surfer, Declared Couch, Daniel, Ches, Tony, who came on as well, and obviously Josh, etc. Thank you all for jumping in. And we will continue this next time, guys. Take care.